Nobody can see anything, but that's okay. Let's start off like I like to start, and that is, good morning. Yes, there too. I always like to start off though with trying to figure out if anybody came here with some issues and thoughts and wonderings and problems that have occurred in the last month or thereabouts, issues that you've been dealing with, etc.
Do you have a recommendation for a debugger for, debugging program? My computer is running very slow.
You know, that actually is what we're going to talk about today.
Terrific.
And yes. Yes.
I've got a computer I want to contribute to a charity, or a printer rather.
Okay.
And that stores stuff that you printed so much. I don't know how much storage it has.
Okay.
Is that
What kind of printer?
It's a Hewlett Packard DiskJet 990C?
Is that an inkjet?
Yes.
Okay. You said it stores stuff that you've blah 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 done.
Well, it downloads it on the printer and then it prints it.
Okay.
So I don't know whether that memory keeps it or how much.
Fair enough.
I know commercial printers store stuff for ages, forever.
Absolutely correct. Yes. And let me thank you for being the straight man on that. And let me say that business computers, laser printers typically, network printers you're sending over the network, have hard drives in them. And take your documents and line them all up and just spool them one at a time to run these jobs. Because on this big network, they got lots of people coming all the time and they don't want to say to the 8th person, wait, just don't do anything more, sit right there while these 7 other jobs get processed.
Steve!
So they have a hard drive, and that drive goes, that file goes onto the hard drive, and then one by one, the printer spits them out, etc.
Wow, Steve, need your help up here. Need you that.
But on your local inkjets that don't have a hard drive built in, when you turn them off, it's all gone. There's nothing more of it.
Copy machines do the same thing.
Copy machines have hard drives in them because they're taking different jobs and they're queuing them up. Copy machines often will have are network capable. Copy machines you could hook up to the network so that people can print from their computer to the copier. Well, copier slash printer slash scanner slash stapler slash collator, whatever they are. Again, they have hard drives. So that's the ticket, the hard drive deal. If it doesn't have a hard drive, then it's going to, oh, look at that, there's something there. Which reminds me, yes, sir.
Yeah, just to clarify something. A lot of the inexpensive printers now have networking capability on them. Those don't have hard drives built into them, do they?
No, the printers that you purchase, no.
Yeah, the
Not-
ones that are $100
Yeah.
or something like that, they can't afford to put one in.
Not until you're spending $1,000 or more
Copiers is
Right.
what
do you
you're
have
talking about.
anything to worry about. If you're spending more than $1,000 for a printer, let's talk.
Now, you could, I presume, instead of having the hard drive in the printer, you could have another hard drive in your network that's spooled and everything, couldn't you?
You could, and you could buy a printer from, or lease a printer from Xerox, and plug a hard drive in there to have expanded storage. But if it doesn't already have an internal inside one in there, then you can't expand it. If it has one, then you can expand it to have more space, because it has the intelligence, the processor, to write to hard drives. And now that 1 terabyte drive that's built in, or the 256 because they're cheap, that gets full, now you can add in an external hard drive to expand that. But if you can't, if it doesn't already have one in again, you don't need to worry about it, unless you're paying more than $1,000, which is not our group. So, there you go.
I don't know, my first laser printer was $2,500.
Same
And
here.
that was wholesale.
Well, that was because you were using
Unbelievable.
Alda's PageMaker.
Yeah. Yes. It's a great program.
Okay, okay. Does anybody have this kind of stuff going on their email program?
Yes.
You do? Regularly?
Yeah.
A lot?
If I go home right now, it's on there.
And who is your email provider? What email address do you have?
GoDaddy.
GoDaddy.
Uh,
Do you have the problem also?
I do have the problem also, and I go through Apple Mail.
Okay. And that's who, okay, so what's your email address? The end.
Several Earthling.
Earthlink. Oh my God, so I'm sorry.
All right.
Who else has a problem? Yes, sir.
When I use my Verizon account, it does that. Not with the iCloud, but with the Verizon.
Okay, one thing I've told them before, I've asked them before, Apple provides a iCloud account, okay? Use the damn iCloud account because I get people that constantly, every month, send me emails.
You're absolutely right, Mike, Steve. And I deal with a lot of senior citizens. I don't know why that happens. I don't know, I can't relate to those people. But point is, and a lot of them have AOL email addresses.
Oh, yes.
And AOL is very protective of you. It will keep all kinds of spam away from you and a lot of other stuff that you want, and you'll never know that you're not getting it. It's kind of like, let me know if you can't hear me. And so, but people who have AOL, it just works, and I get mail and I send mail and I'm happy. God knows what they're not getting or what they don't know they're not getting. But anyways, Earthling people, I'm sorry. You've got a couple of...
You're gonna be one too.
Pardon me?
You're gonna be one too.
Yeah, exactly, I'm going to be. Anyways, so, but getting people, okay, back to Steve, you're getting people to do something different, kind of give that one up, move on with life.
Yeah.
You can't change people, they're happy with what they have until they're not. And then you try to tell them and they're still happy with what they want. And so, anyways, we're not gonna change people. Okay, back to point.
No, well, Robert,
Yes.
before you do that though,
Okay.
let me explain to people. Verizon, AOL, Earthlink, possibly, and Roadrunner, okay? They have blocked our website, our mail server, because anything that doesn't come direct from like Robert or me or Greg won't get through. They block it because what happens is ours is a forwarding service. I put something on and I send it to everybody. Greg does the same thing. And the minute it hits them, it says, wait a second, this is the sender, this is the address, and blah, blah, blah. And it blocks us. That's why those of you who are having problems, it's because of the service you're using that has decided to block us.
USB to...
So, that's why I say, and I've been asking people, if you can just, they're free, the email addresses are free, and the only person that needs to know is me, so I can put you in the listserv so that everything we send out gets to you.
So my question was, how do I change with you folks, how do I change my email address? How do I notify you that I want to go to a different account?
All you gotta do is, you send me something.
I know.
Yeah.
It was going to the website and I couldn't find the links. I couldn't click on it.
Oh, yeah, I know, but no, you sent me an email, I took care of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What account is it?
Yeah, so if you send it to steve@oacc.org, if you do change your email address, and like I said, you don't have to tell everybody you've changed your email address, just me, just us. And that way, you'll start getting the mail, okay? Okay, Robert, sorry.
That's okay. You were talking about the bad email services, Roadrunner and so forth.
Yeah.
AOL. What's the good ones? A couple of the best ones.
Best ones, I would say iCloud.com.
It is not, I like Steve.
Okay, did you see the little
There's 4 of them.
Quick.
Steve,
Yes, sir.
one other comment. Maybe not all know about it, but with the Apple, you have a capability of identifying email as junk. From then on, it goes over the junk folder.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
The Apple will do its own filter for you.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with what I'm talking
So
about.
anyways, back to, Steve dragged me back into this thing. AOL people are largely senior citizens. No teenagers are getting an AOL account, just isn't happening. And senior citizens are prone to not like spam. And
Yeah,
so
well, vague, it's
AOL
really
gives
good.
you the spam button you get to press when you don't want that email. And so when I've been writing to you and we have a tiff, you push your spam button because you don't want my email anymore. And now if I piss off enough people and they push their spam button, AOL will block me. And Steve is sending emails out from the list. And after people leave OACC, because they move out of the area, they drop a Mac, whatever it is, and they don't want the list emails anymore, they press the spam button. It works, they don't get the list anymore. Instead of unsubscribing, they push the spam. Well, enough people push that spam button, and now OACC is a spammer.
Yeah.
So use your spam and your junk mail opportunities limit properly. Thank you. Because you're causing the world problems when you inadvertently, and yourself, when you inadvertently claim things to be junk or spam. Okay, enough said.
Yeah,
Now,
that's all.
okay, now all of these things, all of these are different email accounts, that's 1 through 19. Those are all different email addresses and accounts. And so that's showing just a whole list of stuff here. And if I can just scroll this down a little bit, you'll see this Konakria server down here in this Yahoo. And they don't have a problem there. Because everything else with the exclamations are GoDaddy. GoDaddy happens to be hosting that email account. This one is Yahoo, obviously, and this one is Verizon, and the others are all GoDaddy accounts. And that was what I was thinking, because I have clients in multiple areas around the counties, San Bernardino County, LA County, Catalina Island, everywhere. And I often host for them their email addresses through GoDaddy, a wonderful place. And I was getting all this kind of stuff. And they had me do a trace route to see, okay, what is the path that my computer goes to GoDaddy? Boom, 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 boom. There it is. And along that path, they identified, oh, look, there's a router here that it kind of spends a little bit of extra time in before getting there.
Quick question,
Yeah.
that trace route's only valid for now, am I right? Because
This
it could
moment,
change the
right.
next day or.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Here I was trying to, wow, these are great here.
so that's the map to get from A to B.
That's right. I opened up my network utility and I went to traceroute, that middle tab, and I said, go to email.secureserver.net. It says, okay, I will go there. And so the traceroute had started. Who's got the little clicker thing?
No, you mean the
Bruce has that.
laser.
Yeah. Okay,
Bruce
anyway.
has the laser pointer. I'll get one for us.
Anyway, so this is a trace route from,
I use this,
yeah, sure.
just don't touch the screen.
No? Why not? So anyways, this is a trace, I'm going to email.secureserver.net. Trace route has started, trace route to email where.secureserver.net. And these are the IP addresses and the hops that it goes. From me to the next router, to the next router, to the next router, until it finally reaches secureserver.net. There it is.
Let's GoDaddy?
GoDaddy, right, this is GoDaddy. And this is how long it took to go through each item. 5 milliseconds, 10 milliseconds, 41 milliseconds, etc. And routers are designed, when it leaves my computer, it hits my router has to decide where does it go. Well, in the first one goes to it goes to level Los Angeles, blah 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 edge. Because whoever they're purchasing their internet service from, that's who it goes to. And then that guy's got lots of opportunities. Well, it's like taking an airplane. I can go via Seattle or via Arizona, via Dallas, or wherever. And so routers are determined to learn the quickest path from here to there. Brilliant, brilliant design. It's all it has to do with IP addresses. But they learn the quickest path. And this has been determined to be the quickest path in the last 2 minutes. Right in an hour from now, that path is going to be different. Because certain routers will be loaded up because somebody's downloading a movie somewhere. So anyway, so this is it. And this is a very clean trace. Now, as Greg said, if I run this again, those numbers may or may not be the same. But you run it tomorrow or something like that, and you will see different results. And if one of those, any one of them, one or more of them, just starts with a little asterisk, that means that it's kind of stuck. It's waiting for an answer, and it's and that router is a little slow, is a little bit overloaded, or whatever it is. It's kind of like, hold on. Okay, here's my information. So GoDaddy, I called GoDaddy, and then we ran a trace route. We saw the asterisk, and they say, hey, it's not us. Go call up. You got to talk to your internet provider, which would be this Edge people, and they need to resolve the one in the middle, which isn't theirs and isn't GoDaddy's, but some guy in the chain, which is a near impossible thing to get your ISP to ever fix, because they take it's not our job. Especially if you got where you needed to go, because they're saying, hey, we got it there, sorry, that so-and-so's slow.
Robert, won't this time out eventually and it'll try another route?
It does, and it can, sometimes it depends upon how long it gets stuck in the loop, absolutely. But the fact that we've got a clean trace here without any asterisks is wonderful. Life is good. And I wish this had happened when I was talking to GoDaddy. Because they saw that asterisk and they go, oh, it's over there, the problem's over there. It's not my fault, routine. Never did in temporary support, it's not my fault, go talk to someone else. Okay, so I didn't have a clean trace, and so whatever. But I told them, you know what's interesting? I said, this is kind of fun.
They have to use it, it's not.
Yeah, I know. I had clients in this area, and this area, that were all experiencing the problem. And I said to GoDaddy, hey, come on guys, they don't all have the same ISP, they're all not going through the same router, blah, blah, blah. Well, they wouldn't go with that excuse. And I said, they're all using different. And what I narrowed it down to was the fact that, the PCs aren't having this connection problem. And then I said, which is really odd, what's unique there? And then I realized, well, it's happening in mail here. So I was going to call Apple, and Apple and I are good friends. But I knew that they'd want to point at GoDaddy. Because, it's not happening on Yahoo, it's not happening on Verizon. So it's GoDaddy. So I was having two people each point to someone else, and it wasn't any fun. The answer was, and this is resolving a problem, and we're going to get there. What the answer was, okay, to figure out, this told me it wasn't necessarily all about GoDaddy, all about. Problems were always figuring that out. So I purchased another email client, put it on my computer, and the other email client had no problem connecting to GoDaddy. So what it was, it's mail connecting to GoDaddy. Very odd, interesting, unique kind of situation. Normally, mail will have a problem connecting to anybody. And from GoDaddy's perspective, everybody is connecting fine, except for their mail. But you would think that soon they'll figure it out, that all of the Apple mail people are having a problem. Yes?
Yeah, along with this, I'm having some other problems that might be related.
Okay, perhaps. Anyways,
every time I start up the computer, and this keeps going throughout my sessions, I keep getting pop-ups from the computer saying that there's a connection problem with GoDaddy. And yet I'm getting my email from them. I'm able to go to my website and things like that.
Well, if you're a OCD, this won't bother you because it'll work 20% of the time. So within a 10-minute span, it might work once if you're checking every minute, and then the other 9 times it won't. But if you're OCD, you care, and you see all this kind of stuff, and all these red things. I opened up the connection doctor in mail. We've got this window. It says connection doctor, which no one ever uses except text. And we see all these red things. And now, what's interesting is this one here and this one here are both GoDaddy. This one and this one, and yet let me see. Those are, SMTPs are working. Okay, another SMTP. Fascinating here. I hadn't seen this. All of the SMTPs are working to GoDaddy, and all the POPs are not.
Yeah.
Which, if I recognized that and pointed that out to my GoDaddy people, they would have gone, well, the GoDaddy, the POP and the SMTP are both on the same server. There's something else going on here. Anyways, point is, this log connection activity, if you're going to go talk to Apple, what they really want, they want some details. They want to know the grit. They just don't want to know, hey, my computer's having a problem, what am I supposed to do? They need more detail. So this little button, log connection activity, you check that, and it'll start keeping a log in the background of your stuff, everything, every time you try to connect. Well, I have my computer open 24/7, and my mail program's open all the time, and it's always checking mail and having a lot of problems. So when you have these problems, it creates a lot of large log files. Well, after a couple of days, those log files will be outrageously large and will fill up your hard drive. And your computer will run really slow. So when I got it, so this morning at about 4 o'clock when I got up, I went to work on my computer and it was just dog slow. And I couldn't get anything done. I thought, oh my God, what am I going to talk about? And so I had to fix my computer to figure it out, and I couldn't figure out and so the problem, so the point was, don't do this log connection activity without setting a timer somewhere on your phone to turn it off at some future time. And don't let a tech turn it on and forget to turn it off. Because it's a bug that there's no warning there that says, hey, you've been logging for 8 hours or whatever amount. Are you sure you want to keep logging? And require administrative password to keep logging so that your friend doesn't come on and turn on your logging for you and not tell you.
Where does it go to these log files? In your home directory somewhere?
In your library.
TMP or
in your library.
In the library.
Yeah, for mail. In console.
The system library?
No, your library.
Your account library.
This is your stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's in your library. It's a place where you would never think to go and look. So don't do this to your best friend. So anyways, so you have this log and it creates files and it fills up your computer and you don't know what the heck it is that's causing that, and so you have to figure it out. Because the first thing that's going to cause, one of the many things that are going to cause a slowdown of a computer is too full of a hard drive. Now, a computer I just bought for a friend or a business a couple days ago, he got a MacBook Air. MacBook Airs don't come with hard drives anymore. They come with these SSD drives. And they're rather small. I mean, you can get a 256 gigabyte or a 512, or you can go all the way and get a terabyte. Yeah, SSD. But it gets rather expensive.
Very.
Now, the reason they do this is because we're using the cloud so much. We don't have to, I've got some $6,000 program I'm installing on a client's computer, and it's in the cloud. It doesn't install on his computer. He gets to it via a browser of sorts. And so, the applications that we use, you're often using Office 365 or whatever you're using, that's somewhere else. Your mail, somewhere else. So all of our stuff is somewhere else these days. And as often as not, it's in the cloud. So a lot of people can get away with a 256 gigabyte SSD. And if you're an accumulator, if you save stuff. So anybody here save stuff just because you might need it? And you kind of like things accumulate? Okay, yeah, I'm not ready to throw it out. I just might need it someday, so I'll just put it over here. Well, I've got a terabyte hard drive in this portable. And what the heck? I got all this. I'm not a picture collector, not a music collector, kind of. And so I collect stuff. Why not? I've got plenty of space for it. But when you create log files, you can eliminate that lot of space. But back to the point was, okay, I have a problem here. My computer's too slow. Let me identify stuff. Now you could go into your documents directory and look at the stuff and read the name of a file and look at its size and say, I don't think I need that anymore, and trash that. And go to the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And that's snail tracks. It's infinitesimal, you will accomplish nothing, and it's wasting your time. If you're looking for a file that you have 3 copies of, or 5 copies, or 10 copies of, and you, for efficiency, you want to get rid of 9 of them, because you don't want to figure out which one to use, and they're duplicates or they're revisions, and you want to just throw away the old ones, or get rid of the 9 extra copies, that's fine. That'll make you more efficient because you don't have to look at 9 copies of the same thing. But if you're trying to accomplish disk space, which is the cause of most often of space, you don't try to clean up individual documents. If you're going to your documents directory, maybe you're going to sort it by size and look at the largest ones there and decide on those largest ones, should I get rid of that or should I not? But after you've hit the first 5, the rest of them aren't worth the time and trouble to spend if you're merely trying to add disk space to your hard drive. Okay. So here's a program we've talked about in the past, but when it comes to light again, it's called Grand Perspective. And
It's free, by the way.
it's free, yeah. Okay, and let me get rid of that. Okay. Grand Perspective. And what it does is, you look here like that comes like a little microprocessor or whatever, some PC logic board, whatever it is.
Farmlands from the air.
Huh?
Farmlands.
Farmland, there you go. He's our old farm boy. We used to fly. Anyways, he's a crop duster, weren't you? Yeah. So anyways, these are individual files, each one of those little colors. But this one here, this is a file all by itself. And this one here, or the red one's a file all by itself as composed to these. When you're going into your documents directory and looking at a file and saying, should I keep this or not, you're dealing with these. Okay? But when you're trying to create hard drive space, you should be looking at these. The ones that match her.
What, Robert?
Yeah.
What would tell you that that's an empty space?
Nothing.
Oh, so these are all stuff?
It's stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
However, as you slide your mouse over the square, it tells you.
Calm down.
Hey.
So anyway, I want to believe and think that there is a feature that I could turn on show hard drives, empty space, available space actually is what the term would be, available. And it would show me, whether I have a spot that big that's available or a spot that this big that's available. But at the moment, I think the default setting is just to show you the in use. Okay, so now back to Greg. So I look at this thing and I go, oh my God, look at that. That's rather huge. What the heck is that? Well, if I look down here, it says users are Amitai library parallels Windows 710. Oh, my Windows 10 virtual file. And I recently took my Greg's quickly looking for his. I recently took my Windows 7 virtual disk and duplicated it and then updated it to Windows 10. And so it's taking more space, which is an interesting thing that I'm going to have to take a look at later. Because typically Windows 10 is supposed to take up less space than Windows 7. But there's lots of reasons why this might be. It just might be the size that it's defaulted to as to how big it should be, as opposed to how much space it's really taking. It's really space it's really using. Anyways, point is, I now know, wow, it's 48 gigabytes. And this is the path of where it is, and that's how big it's taking. So now I know, okay, I can look at something that is the most significant item and look at that and say, do I need that or not? Now, being an accumulator, I had a couple large files in there. One of them was Windows 2000. And as a tech, we have to deal with old stuff because people bring their stuff to us and we go, you're using this? Really? Really? Okay, fine. And we deal with that. And so there's a place in my life where maybe I need an operating system that's 15 years old, but I probably don't need it on my hard drive. So that's the time, you get one of those flash drives, put it in there, copy that onto the flash drive, label the flash drive, and put it in the drawer. So that when I need a Windows 2000 operating system, it's handy and ready to go. I copy to my hard drive and I'm ready to use it. So I tossed my Windows 2000 and my Windows 2003 server, and lots of things that were relatively large. And now I'm down to this. So I can go to this file and say, well, okay, yeah, I told you to take up 40 gigs, but you're only using 20, so let's reduce the size of your file to 30 or whatever else. I can manage it a little bit better. So one by one, you'll look at different things and you see what different things are taking. And you know, this big red one up here is the parallels log. Oh my God, do I really need a log file that big? I don't think so. And on and on. So here's a migrated photo library. The names of things should wake you up and say, wow, that name sounds suspicious. A migrated photo library. And I would do a little bit of research and see whether that's kind of like a temp file that I can get rid of, or maybe I have multiple copies of this because I'd moved. This computer's an old computer, 2011. It was the last one they made of a 17-inch. Some people don't consider that old, but in my world it's old. Anyways, it's the last 17-inch, so they're going to have to pry it from my hands. But there's a couple of things there. The point is, it has migrated through several operating systems and several versions of iPhoto, and along the way, this migrated photo library may well be one of multiples or something I can get rid of. So again, point is, when you look at the things that matter, you can look at them and say, this is a parallels log dot one. Well, there's probably a parallels dot log. And you can look at the things that matter and get rid of them, gain this space, and be able to get something done at 4 in the morning when you wake up. Okay, so, where was, okay, okay, an old computer. I have recommended, and I'm not going to back down on it, that when you purchase a flash drive, you purchase a USB 3 flash drive. The speed of it is far better than a USB 2. And the cost is relatively non-existent. There's very, very marginal cost of them. But let me tell you, all of the USB flash drives that I've been purchasing and using on my computer, I'm not making use of them. This 2011 computer only doesn't use USB 3. And it shocked the heck out of me, to put it mildly. You know, if I go to About This Mac, and I go to System Report, and I go to USB, it'll tell me that's a USB 2.0 bus. Now, if this computer dies and Apple won't fix it, and I have to buy a new computer, I'll go, well, thank you for pushing me over into the new stuff, but I'll get over it and deal with the 15-inch screen. But I'll have a USB 3, and all my stuff will be 3. But as a flash drive, do remember, you take it out, it's not just for storage of stuff on this computer, but you take it off of this and you use it somewhere else. If the somewhere else is a 3, it'll use it at the 3 speed. So, you know, marginal cost, keep buying the 3s, but don't think that you're getting the full benefit of the 3 unless you're using a relatively new computer. There you go. Okay. All right. So, that's what has vomited from my mind from today's experiences. Yes.
I was going to say that I just got a 3 the other day. They're lightning fast.
Oh yeah.
Lightning fast.
Oh yeah.
And the second thing with the mustache, you can go on the road is cap.
Well, thank you. Yes. It's not Pacino, but there's another guy that I'm supposed to be like. This is. I guess I gotta get out of here. Yeah, there we go. We talked about the new. I can get rid of that too. We talked about this display, right? And all these different tabs up there and stuff like that, and how they're amazing and valuable and stuff like that. If you haven't discovered them, if you haven't, you know, the display, storage, memory, support, and service. Oh, that was a good one. Memory. There's 16 gigabytes installed in this machine, 8 and 8 DIMMs. And
2 slots.
And when I had problems with this machine, out of warranty, and Apple didn't really know who the hell I was, anybody. But I took it in, and they said, oh, you have a video board that we had problems with, and you're out of warranty, but that board, we're going to replace that board for you. And so they replaced the motherboard on this thing, along with a lot of other things. But in determining what the problem was, I took it in with 16 gigabytes. And if you look on Mac Tracker, you'll find that this machine only shipped, Apple says that it's limited to 8. And that's the most it's shipped with. But the reality is, they've designed it such that what happened was when they came out with, because 8 gigabyte DIMMs didn't exist when when this machine was purchased. And afterward, they created 8 gigabyte DIMMs. And they created them in ways that could be used in earlier machines. So this machine actually supports 16. So I took Apple's 4 and 4 out and went and purchased memory and put in 8 and 8. Now I have 16 to fill up and make use of, and I do it well. And point was, when Apple gave it back to me, they put in a 4 and 4 and gave me my 8 and 8 in an envelope and said, here, we had to replace these because we can't work on it in a non-Apple configuration. And so we put it back in fixing it for you. We took it back to 8. So I have my 16 in my hand and 8 in the machine. Well, because I'm lazy, I worked for a long time. And then one day I looked at that envelope and I said, what the heck am I doing? So I took out their 4 and 4 and put in my 8 and 8. And things, I went in to look here, and it only showed 8 here, nothing there. And so I thought, what the heck's going on? 2 8s, yeah. And I thought, what the heck's going on here? And I did this, I did that, and I go, So I did what techs do, and you go in and you redo your stuff because you screwed up the first time. And the first one just wasn't in there quite right. It didn't snap in. Point is, when you do these things, check your work. Check to see that what you attempted to do actually did something. So after I tore it apart again and took it out, put it back, bingo, it shows 8, and I'm a happy camper again. So now I fill it up with 8, and you know, it's all. Anyways.
Robert?
Yes?
Now, one thing, if people are curious about this, you can go to everymac.com, and there's a spot for ultimate lookup. And what it'll do is it will tell you, by putting in the serial number, it'll tell you exactly what computer you have. So Robert says his is a 2011. If I put mine in, it shows me a late 2008, and on and on. So you can find those things. Plus, everymac.com. There you go. And then it should say, Robert, look up Macs by serial number. Up above in the text. Down, 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 down. Right there. So you click that, and if you look up there, you bookmark that somewhere. It's Ultimate Mac Lookup. And
Where's the
I
serial
use
number?
Pardon me?
Where's the serial number? That's an identifier.
Put your serial number in there.
It'll work both ways.
Okay, all right. Okay, by the way, they've really been really nice, and now you can copy from
Yes.
what doesn't look
Yeah.
like
Has
a
been
copyable item.
Yeah.
It looks like a standard, but go ahead and try things because they're really nice and I'll allow you to do that.
And say lookup.
So even though it says identifier, it'll do that. Okay.
So it shows him that, and then down below it says complete MacBook Pro, blah, 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 lookup. Specs.
Right.
So if you click that, it's
Right.
going to tell you all the specs.
Now this is fascinating because it's correct, but it says 4 gigabytes of RAM.
That's what their original build was.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So like if you looked at Mac Tracker, it would only show you what Apple made available, right?
Right.
This is showing you what is capable.
Well, no.
No.
That was showing me what the build was.
Right here is, it'll look down lower, Robert. There, RAM type.
Yeah,
Tells you what the RAM type is.
right.
Also, how do you upgrade?
Standard 4. See, now this, the asterisk here, actually officially supports a maximum of 8, but third parties have determined this Mac model actually is capable of using up to 60 with 2 8s. Okay,
See, Mac
so there it
Tracker
is.
wouldn't say that.
No,
Right.
that's why I have changed to this. Mac Tracker is,
Well, no, absolutely. Oh, yeah.
yeah, it tells
Oh,
you your
yeah.
video card, it tells you everything.
Okay, so Command-Shift-A, additional, did I put it here? Where did I put it? Okay.
For an i7, that seems pretty slow.
Oh, there's a lot of junk on it.
Now, Mac Tracker will keep track of every serial number you put in.
If you choose, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Work notes. Why am I not, I want to go the regular thing. My models. Yeah, I've just recently started using that and I'm not real excited by it, I guess. So Max, the 17, 6, 7, 17, here it is.
Now, the dates they've got is the date it's released and the date it's taken off.
It's underneath this window. It's there, but you've got it underneath this window. It's right there.
No, that's my finder. Window, oh, it's off screen. It's not understanding. Okay, anyways, go to memory, and it says maximum 17-inch for. This isn't the right one.
No, it doesn't look like it. That's a Core 2 Duo, Robert. Yours is a i7.
That's 2006. 2011, that's there. Well, that's over here. Sorry, the resolution is weird on this. Anyways,
But see, like for instance, it says Thunderbolt digital video output.
okay, here we go. Maximum memory, 16 actual, 8 Apple. Okay, so it is. Mac Tracker is good stuff. Anyways, but do note Steve's every Mac thing and bookmark this page and every.
But you don't want to bookmark the results. You want to go back to 2 pages, Robert.
Specs.
That's
That's
right. You'll
That's
do
right.
that at home.
That's right. There you go. Thank you. Anyways, so it's all good and blah blah blah. Yes. So I'm gonna hide that. Did I want to hide that? Yeah, I don't know what I want. Okay. Anyways, point again was check your work because you want to make sure you get what you know. You may have to do it twice.
On the few machines that you're actually allowed to change memory in.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
When I bought this laptop, there was no choice, so I said, what's the most I can get, just put it in there, I didn't want to regret it later.
Yeah, you buy new computers today and normally you get what you get and you can't upgrade them. On the 27-inch iMac is one of the few that you can actually pop it open and change. So when you purchase something, kind of look towards the future and open up the wallet and purchase a little bit more than what you might need, today.
And if you have a 27-inch, you better be damn strong. They have the little plastic straps, Robert, to pull the RAM out. It doesn't pull out one at a time. It tries to pull out 2 and 2. I fought that, finally I asked the guy to get the suppliers.
So by the way, here is a view that's showing me how much space I've got. And that was by after dumping multiple things. And it's amazing the speed with which a computer can operate when it has this. I mean, this only has 80 gigs free, which isn't a lot, but there's some breathing room there after I threw away some stuff. Anyways, from all of where I went,
My hard drive is only a third full.
a third full. Okay.
The third, Robert, you were talking about older seniors.
Mhm.
The thing is, if you go out and
You talking
buy
about me or
a
him? Or
computer
you?
today,
Shit, all of us.
what's that? It's all of us now. I'm getting to see a couple of people walking with their walkers.
God, I didn't
Will
recognize
Baden.
Will. Oh, that was Will.
That
That
was,
was
Yeah,
Will.
that was Will,
That was Will.
yeah.
he's still with us, that's the important part.
I asked him, how old? He is 87.
Wow.
Wow.
I mean, I've known Will, Robert's known Will way back in time. And he was one of the leaders of the group, like Greg is doing. And the thing is that, when you go out and buy a computer now, you can't add your own RAM or your hard drive. You want to get the biggest you can first time. Now, some things, like for instance, I can open up the devices, I can open this, I can open Roberts and all that.
Good thing
But
you
the
saw it.
thing is, an end user, I wouldn't be tinkering inside, because you could screw something up major. But now, the hard drives, all they are is a little PC board, and, the SSDs, and they plug it in to a socket, and they screw it down, and the RAM can either be surface mounted on the logic board, or it could be a board that gets stuck in. But basically, they are making it near to impossible for the newer machines to be serviced by anybody but Apple. And they're going away from the socketed stuff because the soldered stuff is more reliable in that situation.
As was explained, as I just shared, mine wasn't socketed, and it wasn't seated properly. In the same way I seated it and now work, it could come unseated. And when it comes unseated, all of a sudden you don't have what you had and all
Yeah.
that. So absolutely, yeah.
I've done that a couple of times too myself on customers. I'll flip it over. Now what I do though is if I'm in the computer, before I shut it, because it's 10 screws on most of these things, 10 little teeny screws.
Different sizes.
Turn, oh, I tell you, I worked on the washing machine this week, and all the screws were pretty much the same screw.
Okay.
Why the hell Apple has to make 20 different screws?
You need a whole jewelry.
And
There-
pencil.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Come on,
pencil
there's a
road.
reason, you know why. So,
Why is that?
You shouldn't be playing with it.
Oh,
Take it to Apple.
so, but the thing is they're getting to the point where you won't be able to either service it yourself or service to me. These ones that you're looking at here have the screens, the glass screen on front. Yeah, we can put a suction cup, pull it off because it's magnetically. Well, their latest ones, they are glued, the glass is glued in place. And you have to have a special tool with a little wheel, and you gotta go in between and like this. And then when you get the correct part, and they'll never sell it to you, they would take and send you a new piece of glue strip. And it's like, I don't wanna do that.
I'll tell you a quick story. My parents 2 years ago, it'll be 2 years this Christmas, got themselves a 60-inch Sanyo TV. At Costco, they had them for $1,000. Short time, probably a new model coming out or whatever. They got one, my brother brought it over, they got new furniture decided on, all that. 9-10 months down the road, and Costco doubles the warranties on those. When you get a year, you actually get 2. I'm sitting over there one day watching TV, and I noticed about a third of the way down from the top of the screen, there's a black line going through the image. There's a row of dead pixels. Pretty rare nowadays. Used to be common on laptops way back when. So my folks get a hold of the Costco folks. My parents are 86 and 84. They send somebody out to take a look at it. He goes, yep, it's a row of dead pixels, that's right. Okay, here's the option. We can either replace the TV, or we can give you your money back and you can keep this TV. Because they're not cost effective to
Right.
repair, number one.
Yeah.
And Sanyo, we sell so many, Sanyo doesn't want it back. Not cost effective for them to pay shipping to get this thing back.
Right.
And my dad says, you mean you'll give us our money back? And the guy said, yeah, it's just not worth our hassle. We'll take that option. Here it is 2 years now. You're still living with this deadline through it. At some point in time, it'll probably get worse. And my dad figures, what the hell? Either I'll be so blind, not only will I not see it, or I might just get a brand new TV at the time.
Yeah. It's not worth it to repair.
A 24-inch old cinema displays with plastic housing, and I have one row of dead, 1 pixel going down.
Vertical?
Vertical.
That's really unusual.
And the thing is, I looked at it and says, first off, number one, I'm not gonna tear into that thing, forget it. And so I just live with it, but you can only see the line when the background behind it is as lighter than what it
And it's
is.
the same case in my parents, if they're watching a regular television show, they won't see this when you see like a solid blue sky. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay, Robert. back to you, right
yeah,
along.
we got, a gentleman here had a slow computer, and he says his hard drive's
It
not
takes a
full.
long time to boot.
Long time to boot, okay.
What
So,
OS?
what's it?
What OS?
Operating system.
Mavericks.
Okay, okay. And how old is the computer?
It's about that age.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's respectable, respectable, okay. What, we have hard drive space, when you lose hard drive space, it doesn't have, it takes a lot more time to write things out and to find a place to write things, and so that thing slows things down.
I ran the disk diagnostic
okay,
though,
right.
and it says
Okay,
everything's fine.
okay, yeah, well, there's the space to write it, and there's the ability to write it intelligently and efficiently.
You're talking about like fragmentation?
Yeah, that kind of thing. And or files, and or portions of the disk that aren't being, aren't writable consistently and all of that. So it may take multiple attempts to write until it finally does, and goes on to the next place and finally does, etc. So things can go slow when your disks are wiggy. Technical term. Yes, sir.
Also, some programs may put themselves into your login folder, and if you have a lot of login stuff.
Oh, yeah, on a.
Right, startup stuff. And all of these are apples, 1, 2, 3, 4, and sometimes 5, depending upon the kind of stuff you run. But all of this other stuff is extra stuff. And the extra stuff is one of the places that you will be able to look at and say, wow, is that loading up when I start up the computer? Because this extra stuff, that's one place to look for it.
Go to users and groups.
What?
Go back to users and groups and look at your login items.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
click on the, yeah.
And go to the login items.
Oh, okay. Right,
Okay.
correct.
However,
So-
not everything shows up in there that
Correct.
may.
That's
The
true.
new trend nowadays is
Yeah.
you want me to automatically start name out in
Okay,
the background.
but because they're unchecked does not mean they're not gonna load.
No, actually,
It
of course, you don't
just
know that they're
means
loading.
that are they gonna be visible or not? And if you see something you don't have, or know what it is, like that unknown and Apple unknown, and say you wanna get rid of them, minus sign. Just know what you're deleting.
And
It's the
unlock.
same thing as setting, when you go to, the tools, the preferences, and you, go to printers, it's the same thing. You've got printers, and it recognizes all the printers, and you have a list, and plus
I've
minus.
seen the path before.
And many times, simple thing like going to that, the system preferences, printers, sometimes you have a problem, delete your printer from the list, then add it back. It will go back and fresh look for printers, and the file is recreated, and the problem goes away.
Just be sure to unlock the padlock when you do it.
Beach ball frequency.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay, Greg's asking me to not run away, so I'll
Thing like that,
spend
where it
an
says
extra moment here.
Apple unknown on there.
Right, yeah.
How do you know if that's
I didn't. I
How do
didn't
you
know what it was.
How do you figure out if the computer needs that to run, or if
Okay.
it's something you?
Robert's gonna tell you.
You just saw 2 of them, and I'm trying to remember why it is that I can't hover over this and see the path. And on those 2, I mean, right now, if I click on it, if I control click on it, it says show in Finder, which would show me where it is in the Finder, etc. When I clicked on the Apple ones, it didn't show me where it was. And being a guy that lives on the bleeding edge and likes to fix things, I just trashed them. I clicked on it.
So basically, the next time you start your computer, there's
Yeah,
a chance
right.
it won't start.
That's right.
Actually, in theory, you could trash everything in here and the
That's
computer
right.
will still
That's
come
right.
up.
That's right.
Right.
I clicked on it and then I pushed minus and it got rid of it.
And an
Because-
interesting thing is, if you trash the iTunes helper, odds are the next time you start up iTunes, it'll put it back in.
Correct. And so, after a couple of years working with computers, I have figured out what kind of is not going to bite me too hard. And I like to say that I like to run a clean machine. So I saw those 2 things there, and the fact is, I've been doing enough analysis of this machine over the past month that I've created logs when you have a session with Apple support, they will often ask to come onto your machine. And then if you have to restart,
they have a thing that when you restart, it'll automatically recreate that session so that your support person can automatically reconnect back with you. And I've done that a couple of times. Lo and behold, in my startup item, I had 2 things that were Apple. I will bet good money that each of those were there to restart that session that I had. Because one of there's a bug in mail that I went back and forth with support and running it up to engineers and all that kind of stuff about 8 times until finally, I mean, the first time the Apple engineer said, "Oh, that's as intended." And I thought, wait a minute now. You mean they meant to do that? Or based upon the code, they know it's doing it? There's a difference. You know, we have a bug in our code, and yeah, so as intended because it said to do that. Well, point is, it was a very, very obscure kind of situation that caused the bug. And so we had to create a movie of it actually happening to send it off to the engineers, so the engineers could then ultimately say, "Oh, okay, we get it, thank you very much." And now, someday, maybe it'll be fixed, you know.
Robert, the thing is one thing I've learned by dealing with Apple and many other places is basically when you call for help, you call and you be nice, not argumentative, not yelling and screaming. You're asking for help. If you want help, you're going to get it the best way possible if you're positive. And so what happens, I had a similar situation as Robert, and I was going to try and recreate it here. I had a computer that we had gone over, and what happened was the thing went down to accessibility, and let's see, contrast. Okay, that's the way it looked. Is basically, for those who can see, the colors are mashed out, terrible. And it took me going to them going to second level, taking me to the engineer who finally said, "Oh, that's caused by display contrast. Take it and go back, and now you're fine as long as you go to normal." But it took 3, well, not me, yes, 3. Level 1, level 2, and the engineer to find out that's all it was. It's not broken.
Yeah, and I think I talked about it last month. You know, you've got these blue dots, and that say it's unread. And I had certain emails when I would read it, I would open it up and read it, and it would stay saying it was unread. And what we determined was it was the kind of email account that it was being sent from, and if you had the preview, you know, this preview thing that you pop up here and you maybe can show. I forget how to open it because I don't use it. I thought I could open it.
Yeah, you can. There you go.
Do I then now take it down?
No. Grab the thing.
Grab it and
drag down.
Drag down?
No.
I can't, mine won't work either.
Well, I had a customer yesterday that thought she couldn't get her mail and in her inbox, and so what happened is I found that what she had done. This is interesting.
I don't care. Anyway,
but anyway, you have a deal where you can preview, as Robert was mentioning, a preview window down below. And usually you can control it by that little dot. Well, she had taken that dot accidentally and scrolled all the way to the top, and it said, "No mail," blah, like that. But the thing was, I walked in and I looked at that, boom, oh yeah, that's probably what it is. So we dragged it down and all her mail appeared.
A certain kind, depending upon the kind of email it was sent from, basically it had to be a forwarding account, where I send it to Bill and Bill says, "Send all of my mail that comes to this address, forward it over here as a BCC." So an unusual account, and if I had my preview closed, it would continue to say unread. If I opened my preview and then opened the mail, it would show as read. Very odd, very odd. Anyway, so it took a lot of time, a movie to
engineers and all that kind of stuff, and as I have a lot of time to waste, and so that's what I did to try to figure out, what was going on. Anyways, back to here. So that was what those things were that I got rid of. Now, the reality is, I don't need Join Me to start up every time I'm on this computer. So I'm going to go in here and remove those things that I don't need. This default folder doesn't even work at the moment, but I'm going to leave it in there for the moment because that way it'll kind of remind me. It'll kind of remind me that I should go check and see if they released an update for it and all that kind of stuff. So these are the kind of things that you need to look at, see if they're starting up and all that. But not everything shows there, as Greg or Steve said. And so that's why I then defer to the activity monitor. Because the activity monitor is really is the most techy, the most complex, the most confusing area, but it's probably the most analytical. It's what the surgeons will look at before they start cutting you open. And so if I go to CPU and sort on percent of CPU time, I can see in order the things that are taking up processing time. And anything that loads in, no matter how it gets there, anything that's running in memory, no matter how it gets there, whether it got there because of startup or it got there because of other things, is going to show as taking up computer time, processor time. So again, don't worry about the stuff down here. It doesn't matter. I mean, so we got still Join Me launcher there, for instance, because I killed the startup. I said, don't start up at startup anymore. It didn't kill the existing process that was already running there. And if I can click quickly, I can grab it. It's a game. It's like those weapon weapons. Or you could just sort by processor name and let it stay where it is, and then go ahead and find it.
Join Me.
What was it called?
Join Me.
Join Me. Thank you. Okay, so then you can go to it specifically and kill that process. Force quit it. So I don't need it to load, and so now it's gone. Anyways, point is. Use here, look at the big stuff, and say to the big stuff, should you be working? Should you be taking up my processor's time? And you'll see the culprits. Now, and so in this list, you'll see up at the top and you go, what the heck is that running for? I don't need that. And maybe it'll tell you to go kill it out of the startup items, or maybe it'll tell you to go kill it in some other place, because not everything shows up in startup items, because that's taking up processor time. And that's what typically slows down the computer. Now, interestingly, it'll also show you the amount of time it's been running. And I've got this Chrome helper at 11 hours and 20 minutes and that kind of thing. So, look at that. Now, notice all of these Google Chrome helpers, each one of those is for a tab in your Google browser. So each tab is running as its own process. And so a tab can fail or hang or crash. And that process will then go away, and your Chrome browser will continue running even though a tab failed or hung. And that's where we've gone, so that each tab is a process. In the old days, Google Chrome would be the process, and if any tab or any page died, the whole app would die, or the whole app would freeze.
Or basically what happens is, to clear that situation, you have to restart the frickin' computer.
Right.
That was in OS 9 and earlier. OS 10 was created with memory partitions. And basically, anything that fails, that one partition has failed, and everything else keeps working. And I think that was the greatest thing they could have ever done, because Robert and I can attest to how many times we restarted computers, our computers in the olden days, as I said.
Well, back in the days when we had to have extension managers and conflict catchers and all that kind of stuff, and we have to order correctly and that they load right. I mean, yeah, times have changed. Anyways, so the processor, this is a really good place to look to see what's taking up the time, because when it's loading up
something is taking time to load up. And it might be an extension that's not compatible with this version of the operating system. So the operating system is trying to talk to it and all that kind of stuff, and it's not really talking back in time. That's typically the kind of thing. Something is at startup is trying to load up. And so if Join Me was an old version and wasn't compatible, 100% compatible with Yosemite, am I running Yosemite?
Or El Capitan.
El Capitan, didn't sound like Yosemite. If it wasn't fully compatible with El Capitan, it might have taken a long time to load up. So the CPU percentage is a good thing. Memory is another, the memory tab is kind of interesting because right now I have 16 gigabytes in there and I'm only using 7. Well, why is that? Because I restarted the computer this morning. Give me a little bit of time. I only probably have a dozen tabs open in Chrome. But you need to look at memory use because in a perfect world, you're not using it all. In a real world, you probably are. And the memory pressure, I love that word, it's a new thing we're talking about. It's kind of the cool way to talk about memory. The memory pressure is all green, you're not seeing red there. The memory pressure, which is good, it means that it's not working, it's not doing a lot of reads and writing pages and pages out and all that kind of stuff. It's cool, calm, and collected and working the way it should, the way it was designed. But it won't always be green. The user for the process is sometimes kind of interesting. It means that if it has your name there as the user, it means you're kind of the person responsible for that action. Now, it's not always exactly true because, for instance, I'm up here showing as the person responsible for the Finder. And, you know, I obviously I didn't do that, but I have control over that because I could rebuild my Finder, or I could relaunch the Finder. So I have control over that. There's some things you don't have any control over at all, and those would be the root level kind of stuff. Excuse me. Well, the root TechTool Pro, thank you, is running as a root process. And TechTool Pro, which one is that? Is that one here? No, it's popping. No.
You might not have it in the menu. I choose not to have mine in the menu.
Okay, TechTool Pro, by the way, what's that doing up there? Oh my God.
The eject button?
Yeah, don't need that one. Anyways, TechTool Pro is one of the tools that a tech will have in his toolbox to analyze the computer and see whether things are going on. And unfortunately, the worst part about them is you have to keep them up to date because they need to understand how their operating system is working today to work. And what was interesting is I recently updated mine and I configured it, it's a configuration you do, to send you an email or post an alert when there's a problem. And for the last couple of days, it's kind of like been popping up this, you know, your hard disk is X% full, kind of like, and I go, yeah, go away. And because it was working fine. And so this morning when you know, it was working dog slow, I thought, what is different today or lately than before? And then it kind of hit me, wait a minute, all those emails, all those messages I've been ignoring are maybe significant or been getting worse or whatever else. So that was how I went down the path of recognizing that the disk drive was full. So yes.
Yeah, or Google Chrome helper
Yeah.
is repeated several times.
Yes, that's right.
One for each tab that he's got.
One
open.
for each tab.
Oh.
So if I go to Chrome, here's one page with one thing on it, but here's another page with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tabs. And so each of those tabs
It has a listing.
is going to be a separate listing. So basically, this is my to-do list. If I'm not done with an item, it stays up there. This is a page listing for errors in my code on my website. So I am using this as a reminder that I have to fix a bug. No one sees that except for me, but that's a debug page. Yes, sir.
In the Google Chrome helper, you said it's for every tab or web page that might be open. I have occasionally gone to a website and it'll have a pop-up, you know, you have to install this to see something, but it won't release the screen. And I cannot delete the tab or the screen that I have. Is there a way I can use Google Chrome helper to find the page? And will that delete the tab hard without force quitting the application.
You can get 80% of the way there. Yes, you can go to the activity monitor. Yes, you can see it. If you were to click on the Google Chrome helper for that particular tab, yes, it would kill that item. Identifying which one, though,
Right.
you can't
Okay,
easily do.
Robert, question. Try clicking on a Google Chrome helper. Okay, nothing has changed down below. I was just trying to find out which Google Chrome, if it puts down at the bottom.
Yeah, no.
You know, like you did with
Oh, you
that
can
other
go back
thing.
into CPU, if it's hung in a loop or whatever, the one that's at the highest, this is probably the one that's causing a problem.
Okay,
You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
In Google Chrome, whichever tab is hung, that may be eating up the most amount of CPU, maybe.
Yeah, you're right. It could be grabbing that processor. Now, if I double click on that, it opens up this other new and different page, which unfortunately, this well,
Possible.
what? No, this
You
is
might be able
fine.
to read it.
This is okay. Don't run away. Anyways, through here, we could determine what page it is that is loading.
Right.
But there's no easy way to
Right.
get from A to B.
But that is a possible way to kill just that tab.
Absolutely.
Window.
Absolutely.
There's always a way to do it, it's
Yes.
just it may not be obvious.
Easy.
Correct, yes. So, anyways, that Tech Tool Pro is a good tool. You got some extra money, you wanna, study stuff, that will give you more information than you
But
want.
this is activity monitor.
This right here is Activity Monitor, right. It's free.
It's built in.
It's free, yeah. All right, any other questions or problems that I can solve in the next 30 seconds? Very good, yes, sir.
I've had a question about a weird thing on Chrome that I've had.
Okay.
There's a couple of websites that I go to very regularly. And in the past few months, I'll type in the URL and it will do one of two things. It will either take me to a page that says, hey, it's not a good URL, or I presume Chrome's doing it, it will bring up the HTTP and the URL, but there'll be red lines through the HTTP. It leaves the colon and the slashes in the thing, and the website comes up. And it seems to be almost random, because sometimes the thing will work and it will do the red thing and the site will come up, and sometimes it won't do that and the other will come up. If I try and type in the URL, starting with the colon, the slashes, and type it in, it won't work. I'll get that bad page. It only works when it's gets that substitute. Have you ever heard of that before?
Sure, of course. Okay, there we go. What you're going to find these days, for instance, is on this URL, the HTTPS stuff. Now, often your browser is going to help you and is not going to display anything other than just the domain. And if we switch over back to, okay, here we go. Here, well, this one's showing the www. And if let me go.
I think in Safari, that's a preference, you can either have it show the whole thing.
Correct,
Or just
yeah.
a short name.
Right.
It's like you hardly ever hear anybody say on the radio or TV, www, they'll just say whatever the domain name is.
Right. Here, for instance, it's not showing the host, which is what that is called, where a moment, but if in this particular case, especially because this page is a secure page, HTTPS, which is secure, S for secure, they're displaying that for you. And because they're boasting about the fact that, don't worry, you're on a secure page. And it's got the green little lock, which means it is HTTPS plus. Which is kind of handy because, and if we go to,
you'll now see not only is it a green lock, but it's a green block, which is super secure. And so you go to your banks and all those kinds of things, those guys pay the big bucks to get that green block. And the guys that just get the green lock are paying medium bucks. And the rest of us that care to put HTTPS at all will, and so if you ever go to your bank, do look for that little green thing there. But if you're just going to a place that wants to help and protect you, they'll just do the little green lock and it'll be the yes. Why was I going there?
Sometimes it's lined out.
Oh, yeah. His question here about when he tries to go someplace, it doesn't take him right there, it gives him some other page. And sometimes it gives you a 404 error, and just remember that, I don't know why. 404 error, it means that that web page doesn't exist today. Maybe it never did, maybe it did yesterday, but the web developer, website guy, webmaster, removed it, trashed it. So you have a URL for an old thing. Google, though, will also recognize some phishing sites that are trying to get you to enter in your passwords and from clickbait. You get an email, the guy's in Ethiopia, he lost his wallet, he needs some money, and so Google recognizes the URLs that are phishing and will show up this thing with a big red there and say, this is a phishing site, you know, click, if you continue on, you're a sucker and all that. And then there's also the places that you try to put in HTTPS and there is no HTTPS, only an HTTP, and then again, it'll show you another warning, etc. So the best I would say is read the notices and proceed at your own risk. Sometimes it's a risk that won't affect you because you're running a Mac. I think you're running a Mac. And it only affects PC people. But even on Macs, there are drive-by Trojans that you, just by visiting a page, you can get stuff.
Why the red lines through the HTTP, and these are not HTTPS site, and why am I sometimes getting that and it goes to the page, and sometimes I'm not getting that and it goes to a page that basically says that there's something wrong with the site?
For the same site?
The same site.
Could that be caching that he's?
It could be caching.
Okay.
It's most likely the server that you're hitting, and perhaps it's overloaded within the area that it's serving secure pages.
I just looked that up because I have the same problem we were talking about before. And it says, when HTTPS has a red slash through it in your browser's toolbar, this means that one of two things has happened. The first, that your browser and the web server don't have matching security certificate authentications. The second, and more common, interesting, is that a website designer has created a page that calls for both secure and non-secure elements to display on the same page.
That's right.
So it's secure almost.
Well, the issue is, and this is where it's going, when I create a web page, on that page, if there is an ad that is getting that graphic from somewhere else, then that graphic cannot be determined to be secure, and you're going to get that red. Now, if you visit that page 30 seconds later, and they randomly put ads up, and the ad from a third-party provider is not supposed to be displaying, then you get a secure login. So it's real problematic because me as a web developer, I'm saying to Joe, yes, I will accept your ads, pay me money when people see them. But I may not always know where those stuff coming from, whether it's coming from another secure place or not. Because if he's secure, we're kind of good. But if anybody in the chain is not secure, then you're going to get the warning.
So the URL that you clicked on is probably okay, but if you clicked on that ad, who knows?
There's no way to know.
Well, there's,
It means that somebody in the chain is not trusted. It's not to say it's bad. This is, we don't know, that we cannot verify the authenticity of something that's going to appear on that page.
Yeah.
Is there any way to defeat it on this particular site?
Defeat it.
So that basically every time I type in the URL, that the site comes up and I don't end up with this thing, that sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
Okay,
It says to clear the browser settings.
well, one of the things, the best advice I could offer would be to run an ad blocker,
Yes.
because the ad blocker will not even attempt to load that insecure item.
And so what'll happen is, and my son set this up for me, I'd say, Mark, how come I've got text here, and then it goes over to here, and then it comes back over to here, and there's a blank spot? Says, Dad, well, I put the ad blocker on there for you. So basically, all it does is block the ad. It doesn't reconfigure it, it doesn't do anything, it just takes the crap out.
Now, when Steve started working on the computer, this kid wasn't born. Now Steve's tech support.
What's a good ad blocker? What would you
Ad blocker.
There's one called ad blocker, and it loads into extensions.
I think the latest Apple technology allows for ad blockers on both the phone and on your browser. So go to software up to the Apple Store and put in software ad blocker.
Actually,
it'll come up with some
even simpler than
extensions.
that. Within Safari, if you go to System Preferences Extensions, there's an option in there to click Add Safari authorized extensions.
Right.
And that'll take you to an Apple website called safari-extensions.apple.com. And the ones that are in there are ones that are authorized by Apple to safely use.
Yeah,
You
that's,
can get it from
that's just
everybody.
for Safari though. That won't
Well,
work with
Chrome has something
Chrome has
similar
it
too.
too.
Every
And so does
browser,
Firefox. They all-
every browser will allow extensions for ad blockers.
Okay.
But it's kind of like, it's one of those things that I'm gonna say, use with discretion. Because right now, when you go to any website, they're essentially all free, except for the good porn ones. And so, but they're free because they can run ads. And so if we said we don't want any ads, you probably might not get a whole lot of internet stuff that you like. So, you know, use with discretion, yes, sir.
I run some ad blocking, and lately I've noticed I get complaints from websites. It says, you're running an ad blocker, we need the ad to,
Yeah,
so it's interesting.
I mean, you know, no one wants to do anything for free. It's not a good business model. You know, we here are in the business of giving away information. We do a pretty good job of it. But you know, our income is rather limited from it.
Well,
Yes,
that's,
sir.
that's when I heard Google. That's when I heard Google if you put this ad blocker there, because then they don't get to advertise.
It's amazing the amount of if ads that Google is putting in front of your face that you have no clue about. Yes, sir.
I occasionally in Chrome get that snap message where, you know, just a blank screen. I'll be sitting on a web page and I'll have 4 or 5 tabs open, and I go back to one that was open, and it's just a clear white page and it says snap. It says refresh your browser, and I usually will just hit refresh and the page will come back up. I'm just wondering.
I'm not familiar with Snap.
Ooh,
I mean, there's multiple snaps that I do know of, but I don't know any Snap that has anything to do with what you're talking about. Are you running any Snap extension or anything of that sort?
Not that I know of.
No,
Actually, I think that's
Are
something to Google. I really
Are
do.
you running Chrome or Safari?
Chrome.
Chrome, okay. Do you know about your extensions manager or?
No.
Okay. In Chrome on the right-hand side, there's a small area that has lines. and okay, here it is, right there. And then you go down to settings, and then you go over here and extensions, the third item from the far left.
Yeah.
And now it'll show you all this stuff. And I would look for Snap as one of the things that you're running. And you may be running it that you didn't know about, you know, and all that. And so you may choose to uncheck the enable, and then it won't be running, and see if your experience is different. And it'll kind of like give you a description of what it's supposed to be doing and where it came from and all that kind of stuff. So this is a way to make
Yeah, the only one I put in here was one password, everything else was added in by Google.
Oh, that's
Somewhere
interesting.
along the line.
Recently, I forget which one it was. I can't shut up.
LastPass.
LastPass, thank you.
LastPass is the one that just changed.
Okay. LastPass was one of the password managers that their servers they were taken over by bad guys and decrypted certain passwords and everything that people were using, and so everyone has to change their blah, blah, blah. Point is, password managers are out of your control, they're doing the best they can. What's in your head, as I've often prescribed, is the best password manager you've got. Use your head, use a system, be cautious about password managers.
Would you then suggest
Before
we
Robert-
just disable the whole thing?
I'm not gonna suggest I'm not gonna tell you what to do, we're gonna educate you and you're gonna make your own decision.
They claim that nobody got anything that was of any value, let's put it that way.
Yeah, but Robert told you many years ago, actually, how, one example of how he sets a password so that you don't have to memorize it. You could create it by a certain group of things. It was something, something, and then the Google, and then...
I see you're making good use of it.
That wasn't what he said.
All right, I gotta run. Break, Nancy.
I tell you. Static electricity. Oh God, here he goes again.
Gotta have some fun.
eliminate the middle.
Okay, we all know the Steve Jobs movie came out. Well, most of us don't know about this one. This was the Michael Dell movie.
And sell custom-ordered PCs made from stock parts direct to the consumer. That's it. Everyone with me? Good.
Nothing new to report at Dell. We haven't made any new computers yet, so we'll just keep selling the old ones for now. Okay, bye.
This is just an early prototype. That's great, thanks. Don't you want us to turn it on? No, I just started shipping. No, you need to make it cheap.
What is Project MP? A mouse pad?
Free with every shipment. Who are we as a company? What do we stand for? Don't think different. Think sane. And guys, we gotta make these laptops really thick, with the fans in the back, so they can see them cooling down. Someone to change the world. You just... there we go. Why would they give you like that? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Understood. We don't care about that stuff. Michael Dell, rated PG-13, starts Friday.
And I have one more. This is with the Apple, with the iPad Pro coming out this week, and this one's appropriate.
It's an extremely simple tool, but also extremely powerful. Introducing the Apple Pencil. First of all, it's light. It's thin, and it not only fits in your iPhone, or your phone, it also fits in your Apple Watch. So, the pencil. With the Apple Pencil, you literally can draw on your screen. You can tap the screen just like an ordinary stylus. With Apple Pencil, we've done something special. Look at all those fingerprints on your iPhone 5S. Please upgrade to a 6 or 6S or whatever. Look at those fingerprints. Now, with the Apple Pencil, watch what Apple Pencil can do. Just like a pencil. Let's say you need to write something down, but your iPhone's battery is dead like always. You just take your iPhone out of your pocket and your Apple Pencil, and you just draw it on your fucking iPhone. It's the fucking stylus for just $99. Please look at it and subscribe till next year for Apple Pencil.
Oh well.
Oh well. Anyway, I was really impressed.
Have you got
Robert,
your iPhone with you?
pardon me?
Have you got your iPhone with you?
Yeah.
Why don't you give a couple of minutes on the iPhones, because you have the 6S, right?
Yeah.
And here, Steve, plug this into it. So that you can show, that way you can show it,
Oh.
you can show it on the screen here.
Okay. Well, our family, the four of us, just recently upgraded to the 6. And I'll tell you, you gotta be very careful when you're doing these upgrades, because he and I went 1 week over to Apple, We bought the thing, we signed up and everything, and they say, oh, it's a $15 upgrade from AT&T. And I'm gonna call them and I'm gonna make them take that off because I've been with them since the beginning.
Oh, turn your phone on, I'm not seeing it.
Oh, there you go. Trust this computer, yes. Oh, wait a second, that's your computer.
It's all right.
Well, I'll tell you. So anyway, that's all we got. We got the phones. Well, my son was looking on the internet, and here was Target. Why would I buy an iPhone from Target? I'd buy it from Apple usually. Well, what happens is, when you upgrade and you turn in your old phone, doesn't matter, as low as a 5 is what they took. Turn that in, you get a $200 gift card, okay? So basically, you're assured that if the phone is working, you're gonna get 200 bucks. So the last 2 phones, I did that way. And those things are around, so don't jump the minute the phone comes
It
out.
wasn't showing up for some reason.
Watch what you do.
It's not working.
Oh, well, I can't guarantee everything.
Yeah, don't know.
So, anyway, I thought basically that I wasn't gonna get a 6. I didn't get a 6, by the way. I went from a 5 all the way to a 6S. So that means I skipped 2 generations, the 5S and the 6. And one of the things I didn't like was, of course, the first one, they showed you bending it, the first 6, you bend it. Well, the thing is that actually after I got it, I says, this isn't so bad, because I like something I can hold without, I feel like I've got something rather than a little thin something. But this is really a technical wonder. All the things you can do with it. The deal about, let's say here, you go to mail and you press, come on, there we go. And it'll give you the preview of your email you could read. If you go to, Tesla, Model S, good. I wish for that car. Oh, and one other thing, speaking of, I see Google here. You wonder where Greg, Robert, and stuff get this, get the answers and things like that, is Google, okay? When you have a problem, for instance, my Mercedes started making a popping noise under the dash, you put down in Google the best question you can think of. Clicking sound under dash on 2004 Mercedes. So you try and make it as short as possible, but give it as much stuff as you want as far as info. And that, what it does is it focuses your search to a certain area that you want. Okay. Anyway, smart aleck. And so, whenever you have a problem, first thing to go, Google. I had a problem the other day, yesterday, where if you're going to run something that has flash in it, I get this little window, a little tiny window, and it says, such and such web address wants to put something on your computer, and it's like, wait a second, I don't want a bunch of crap on my computer that I don't know what it is. And so I basically went and searched for the website that it talked about, and boom, it came down and it gave me a bunch of answers. And I looked at them and I said, oh, okay, this happens to fit what I'm looking for. Click, and basically it took me to a page on YouTube. And somebody had made, although it was very poor, video about how to get rid of that. forever. And the way basically it is you right-click on that window, and then it'll drop a submenu, and you say settings. You go down to settings, and you disable it there, and say, you know, forever. You just say, you know, a little checkbox. So all these type of things, not that you can solve yourself, but you can learn by trying to find an answer yourself. And then worst comes to worst, you know, email one of us and we'll try to give you a hand. Two things. One, there was somebody here that had a problem with, I don't see her. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, I just looked it up and it was there on Google.
The answer?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I need for you to translate it.
Okay, I'll do that.
I saw
before
the
we go.
error, but it's something in AppleScript and
Okay, we'll check it. But, so the thing is, it is amazing. Like, for instance, our washing machine sounded like a 747 taking off when it went in the spin cycle. So, being a fix-it guy, I go into Google and I put the model number in, and I look for something of that nature, and boy did I get answers. There's a problem, your bearings on the thing are out. There's two bearings that have the inner drum, and they've rusted or did whatever, and they're bad. And then I go, and I can go to a place that says, well, to fix it, you can do this and this, but if the bearings are bad, you have to buy the whole outer tub. It's $6.99. And I said, well, that's a bunch of crap, so I'm not gonna do it. So then I read down to another listing, and it said, oh, this guy made a thing he calls a Tony tool. And this guy, he's smart, but he's loony, because he did a video on how to use it, and it's just funny as hell. But he, hey Greg.
Yes, sir.
Look for Tony tool.
Tony tool?
Uh-huh.
Sure it's not a horn
Okay,
storm?
Neptune washer bearing. Try this. Tony tool demonstration. It'll come up in a second with sound. You have to press play first. There you go. Hopefully this is the
Hi,
same.
my name's
Yeah.
Tony, and this is Shirley.
Hi.
She's going to be my helper today. This
I
particular
have
machine
watched
is the
it
front
so
loader
many
Neptune
times to
Maytag,
learn how to
and it
use
has
it.
the bearing out.
Because that tool,
What we're going to do, instead
they
of tearing
sell
the whole
for
outer tub out and
$5.95.
replacing it, we're going to use a tool
Well,
that I've created,
I found a
the
guy
Tony
who
tool.
sells the
And in
bearings,
a few short steps,
and
we're going to show
he
you how this is
rents
accomplished.
you the
Now
tool.
we're gonna use the Tony tool. We're putting
And
that in the back, we're gonna
You
pull
listen
that
to
back
him, I'm gonna go
first.
on here.
Okay.
He says
start with the
cool
back
so
bearing.
many
What are you doing
times.
now?
He
You're
says,
putting
you
a-
know,
I'm
all these
putting
things
a
that just
spacer
drove me
on
nuts.
and a nut.
But
You're putting a
he
nut
has
on there,
this
all right.
lady
That's right.
doing the
I think there's
repair of
somewhat
these
of a
bearings
network
like I've
on
been
this
working on
machine,
for the
I think.
past
About
week.
half nuts.
This is
And
okay.
he's having a lady
So I
do
see,
it.
you just put
So
that
it's bearing
in there,
press,
that pulls
basically.
through the
Yes,
front
basically
like
a
that.
bearing
Pull that
press.
back.
Through.
But
Okay, I
the
see
thing
that.
is,
I'll tighten
it's
that.
nowhere near
Tighten that
as
up.
easy
Okay.
as they show.
And then what do you
Because
use?
the rust in there
Counterclockwise,
takes
okay.
the outer,
Put that on
where
there
the
like
bearing
that,
goes,
and I guess you
and
grab
it
a hold of
puts
the
rust in
county
between
tool, you
them.
just twist
And to
that
break
out.
that loose,
And
it was
sometimes
a
this
pain.
takes a little extra pressure
So,
to get it out.
Okay.
Well, the bearing.
Basically, I've listened to this, I don't know,
Right now.
5-10 times,
Well, oh, you got
because
the
I was
spacer
trying to
out, too.
find
That
the
spacer's
exact
nasty
process,
looking.
what do I do next, what do I do next? But the stuff is available for you. Any problem you got, washing machine, dishwasher, your car, it's there, you just gotta look. And,
So were you able to fix the washing machine?
pardon me?
Were you able to fix your washing machine?
Okay, I've got it all put back together. I went and tried to wash the rags, because the cleaning lady came yesterday. Put the rags in, and now it sounds real good, it's quiet as hell, but something's wrong with the drain situation to where it was supposed to rinse and drain and all this jazz. And I
So
opened
now
the
you
door.
need a separator tool? Now you need
I learned
the Roto-Rooter tool?
No. So I gotta go home after here. I'm giving up a guy's 65th birthday party of a friend, and I'm told my wife I'm coming straight home and get to work on it. But the main thing is the information is there. Use Google. Yeah, you can use Chrome, and you can use Firefox. Here's the situation. I wanted to mail this tool back to the guy, and he has a priority mail box, a medium box that he uses to ship it back and forth to different customers. Well, what happened was I took and put the tool back in the box and go to print out my postage. Go to USPS.com and go to mail and ship, and it's called print and ship. And so what happens is you go there and with Safari, and all of a sudden you click on something and the screen goes dark, you know, like somebody pulled a shade down, but yet you can still see it in the background. Well, because I still have a Mac Pro that won't take the new OSs, I'm back at 6.8, 10.6.8. This one's up to date, but so what happened was, then I went to Firefox, and that gave a problem. And then you go, and I finally used Chrome and got through, and I was able to purchase and all that stuff and ship the thing out. But the thing is, how many times have you gone to a page or requested a page and it says your browser's out of date? How many? 1, 2. Well, let's see. You're using the older operating system.
10.5.8.
5.8. And some of the things are about these OSs is you can't give certain ones up because you have a need for that particular thing. Like somebody says, well, I want to do this and that, but I can't go higher than 10.5 because then it'll stop working. 10.5 actually was what killed a lot of the things I had. I had a video card stuck in that I could watch TV. 10.4 worked, 10.4.6. So it's really nice if you can afford to keep up to date. And with me, it's a matter of, I don't want to spend the money. This one here, though, Robert was talking about, he's got a 1 terabyte drive, and I found something very interesting. On the internet, there's your optical drive. I still got one that has an optical drive. And basically, I was out at a client's, she had a CD or DVD that wouldn't work, her Sun Center. So I brought this over with her and I tried it. And I'm tapping. What's wrong? Oh shoot, I must have a disc in there. Then I forgot. There is a company, or multiple companies, that make in China a little housing that looks like a optical drive, but it has a cutout where you would mount another hard drive.
A sled?
Kind of a sled, yeah. And so basically, it blocks the hole. But now I've got a terabyte, and I've got 240 gigabyte solid state hard drive. And that's where I put my OS because it's faster. So anyway, any other questions that you've got before I turn Greg loose on you? Oh, yes, here's an example. Somebody said, I texted Greg. Well, at the same time as I texted him, I got emails from Joe, it was you, said, I tried to go here and change my email address on the list, But nothing was here up in the yellow spots. The meeting videos were empty, this creative resources was empty, and Greg had updated it and everything was nice, but we couldn't see it. So he took the time yesterday to go find out what the cause is. And the cause is, in Apple's great usual thing, Greg and I like iWeb. It's very easy to use. It's, click and drop and stuff like that. But what happens is, he went to El Capitan, and El Capitan killed it.
It works fine. iWeb appears to work fine in El Capitan, but when it publishes it up to the website, it breaks some links or something like that. There's no error messages that come back. And when I went and checked on the website, the menus would still work, they were just hidden. So you could scroll
Yeah,
across
that's
like
what Joe
this.
said, was she'd take
And it was hit or miss whether you'd get anything or not.
if she took the mouse, the cursor, and went across where the links would be, go ahead and do that, Greg. As she hovered over something, it didn't show anything, but it puts up the hand. That means there's a link there. And so what happened is, Greg and I are gonna work on a way to solve this, because this is very easy to update using iWeb.
Yeah, it pretty much looks like iWeb's. I either have to I had to boot up into Yosemite and literally republish the site, and it worked fine.
Yeah.
But that's stupid, you shouldn't have to do
No.
that. So,
And what-
I think this is Apple's way of telling us, stop using iWeb.
Yeah, they kill a lot of things. And my son and I were having lunch the other day, and he's like, why can't they just leave it run? If people want to use it, fine. We're not supporting it anymore, but let the people that are using it, use it. It's no big deal.
Have you checked out Disk Utility in El Capitan? They've really watered that down.
Well, because they felt rightly so, I understand, they don't feel there's any reason to prepare permissions anymore. Because they don't think it's a big issue, except with software installations. And that's the only time it'll ever do a repair permissions, is during software installation.
Yeah, but you can't make any RAID drive.
Yeah, it makes it very difficult.
No,
They
I thought
don't-
you still could do that.
No, you can't.
They don't allow you to do things you used to, and they don't put on the features I'd like them to put on.
Right.
If I wanted something a certain color, I like that Robert's email with that little dot. The lady says, I can't see that. Why? She's probably 85 years old, and her sight is going. And so I feel bad for her, and I wish I could go to Apple and say, you took everything that was beautiful and colorful and turned it into grays. It's not, you can't see the difference when you have eye problems. So I feel for them, but.
Yeah, you can still do it, Stuart.
If you can create a RAID.
Sure. RAID, that I'm not sure.
So, anyway.
That I'll have to read up on, but you definitely can still partition on something that's partitionable.
Okay, yes.
I'm archiving photos and I have an external hard drive. And I'm thinking, I haven't used very much of it, maybe 15–20%. So, space is not an issue, but I'm thinking I would like to, since storage is so cheap, I'd like to duplicate it so that I have it in two different, external hard drives.
Right.
But here's my question. Right now, I can go and if I get a new external hard drive, I can just transfer everything from...
Internal or external?
External, I'm sorry. Yeah. I can transfer everything from hard drive 1 to hard drive 2. Okay, but as I add photos, I'm wondering how to keep up with it without having to go through
That's what Stan is talking about, is a RAID, a mirrored RAID, let's say, that will send it to both drives. And, just a second part. And so that's one way. The other way would be every once in a while run Super Duper or Carbon Copy Cloner and just clone your main external drive to the second. Backup 1, backup 2. But just remember that if you put it on the external, it's, to have a backup, you have to have it in 2 places. If you just move it to get more space on your hard drive, and I had people at Laguna Woods up there that would have a problem with, they thought they'd have to, you know, they saw this stuff and they wanted to clear it out and have space and all that stuff. And I tell them, I explain them what a gigabyte is, what a terabyte is, and I look at them and I say, this lady's got 500 gigabytes. And how much has she used? 30, 37, 40. I says, you won't fill that. I'm very blunt with them. You won't fill that in your lifetime. Don't worry about taking and getting rid of things, because first thing that's going to happen, you're going to throw away something that you shouldn't have, and then you got a real problem. Yeah.
Okay, on the subject of raids, about 3 months ago, I got a raid system because, you know, I take a lot of photos and that. And what I have seems to work very well. It's called a Drobo, D-R-O-B-O.
Oh, yeah, Drobo.
D-R-O-B-O?
Yeah. And the one I got was the basic Drobo. It takes up to 4 hard drives. If you have 2 hard drives in it, basically it can correct for 1 error per byte, I guess it is. If you have 3 or 4 in, it can correct for 2 errors per byte, you know, if there's a crash or something.
Right.
But the way it works, I have 2 4 terabyte Western Digital red drives in it. That's what they recommend for it. And when I save my photos to the Drobo, it writes a mirror image both places.
Right.
If something starts to go wrong with the hard drive, a warning light comes on the Drobo, and will do a message on the screen so that I can change the drive before something goes wrong. And the drives are hot swappable, which means that I can pull out the bad drive, slide in a new drive, and the Drobo will take care of putting the good information from the remaining good drives to the bad drive, so you have protection all the time. That's
Bart, on that though, you're saying hot swappable. Wouldn't you have to, or don't you have to first drag the icon for the Drobo to the trash and eject it?
Yeah.
No?
Nope, the Drobo figures that out for you automatically.
Really? Wow.
And the light lights up on the front to let you know which one is the bad one. And while, it works better while it's up and running. While it's up and running, you just pull that drive out and basically toss it, because there's no good of it anymore. And put the same or bigger drive in its place, and Drobo figures it all out.
Wow.
You don't have to eject it per se?
No, that's what I was just...
No, because it sees the whole Drobo as a single device.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So I believe it's called RAID 5+1, if I'm not mistaken.
But don't stripe it or you lose every...
All I know is we used it when we used it today at Broadcom, but I in a much smaller environment when I was with Safeguard years ago, we had them, and it always still amazed me, because these were 10,000 RPM drives. It always amazed me that I could walk up there literally and pull that drive out and take one out of a box and shove it in, and that was it. I just shipped the old one back because we were releasing it. It still amazes me that it works as well as it does.
Most places.
Okay, Bart, can I interrupt you? Sorry. Because we want to hit as many people's questions. We only meet once a month.
On the new El Capitan, can you show us how to get the split screen?
Yes. Greg will show you in just a minute. Let me catch this last...
How is that Terrago, how is that connected up?
A which?
What are you speaking about?
Drobo?
Yeah. How's it connected to the computer?
It depends on which one it depends on which computer you've got and which Drobo you've got. Their latest ones support Thunderbolt or USB 3.
So
But they had some that supported, mine is a really old one. Mine's a FireWire 800. Excuse me, FireWire 400, because I bought a used one.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at getting one of the newer ones. Because mine's one of the great big ones that use the 3.5-inch drives, and I want to go to the 2-inch drive, and probably a 5-bay model or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Do you have Thunderbolt on your?
I have Thunderbolt on this laptop. Yeah, I've got 2 Thunderbolt ports. Plus, I got tired of having to use a USB hub. I still have to use a USB hub. So my Thunderbolt, I bought one of those those Belkin, I think it's Belkin's, Thunderbolt bridge or whatever it is, where you plug in Thunderbolt into it and you get an Ethernet port
Yeah.
and another Thunderbolt port and 3 USB 3 ports on it and a couple of USB charging only ports on it and a FireWire 800 port, I think, on it. So that I only have to plug in one cable and all that crap at home is plugged in all at one shot.
Yeah.
Because this is the only computer I use anymore, is this laptop, so.
I have
I'm
another
now
question.
giving, I've got 4 2 terabyte USB 3 Western Digital drives that I've got all my iTunes stuff on. And I'm really running short of space. I've got maybe a half a terabyte of space left. So I'm looking at, rather than having those 4 plugged in and showing up as 4 devices on the table, that as soon as I get pressed for space on one and I move something, I have to go back and play games with it to be able to make sure everything is seen everything. I'm thinking about switching it all over to because I never take those, I take those drives with me occasionally, but rarely. I'm thinking now about getting myself one of the Drobo 5 bay units that uses the 2-inch drives and start populating with like 3 terabyte drives or whatever. So it'd take me up to 12, of which 9 or 10 would be usable, because you got to reserve about 20 or 25% for the emergency purpose. And I'm thinking about doing that. I just haven't made the financial commitment to it yet. Because Drobo's not cheap. It's about, what, $300 or something like that to buy the base unit with no drives. Now, thank God, bare drives are pretty cheap nowadays. You can buy 2 terabyte bare drives for about, I don't know, $70. They're nothing anymore.
Nah.
Hey, I got a question on the thumb drive. Between a 2 and a 3, if you download pictures on either one, run it up to Costco, is there a difference in resolution
No.
on those pictures?
It's
Has nothing to do with
transfer rate.
strictly access speed.
Well, what about 10, like they say, a thumb drive 10 and a 5?
Oh, you're thinking of an SD card, I think.
Yeah, thumb drive.
Like this?
Yes.
Okay.
What's the difference between a 5 and a 10? Number 10.
I've never seen
5
a
terabyte or
10.
5 gigabyte
No,
and 10 gigabyte?
5 class.
Class
Oh,
five?
it's probably
Class.
speed.
Yeah, it's
So
speed.
you
Probably
have to do
speed.
it on a class 10.
Okay, that's,
Thumb drive.
Well,
I
see,
put
that's
photos
the-
on there and get a
that's
Sure.
the, that's
What
the
happened?
speed, that's the speed of the micro SD card or the SD card.
Right, it has nothing to do with data transfer. It's the speed at which the drive itself can write.
They'll record, right.
right, so,
But they say, if
Class
you're gonna
10.
do photos, make sure you get a class 10.
Yeah.
Well, now, it depends, you've got to look at it from the standpoint of, Tom, are you using it solely to transport from location A to location B? Or is it a card that's going into a digital SLR that you want to be able to write the image as fast as possible to the card? When
see,
you're talking about transport, if you don't mind the extra wait time, it shouldn't make any difference. You with me?
now,
So if the price difference between I'll just arbitrarily say a 32 gigabyte flash drive like Steve's talking about, a class 10 or a class 5, if there's a big difference in price, and I'm only going to use it for transporting data, nothing else.
Now, we're talking about photos, the resolution.
That's data.
that's
Has
data.
nothing to do with resolution. Data is still data. It's a question of how fast, not that you can transmit the data to the flash drive, that's USB 2 versus USB 3. But it's a question of how fast the data on the drive itself, on the thumb drive itself, can be written to or erased.
And here's a perfect situation. If you have a thing and you want to know what the difference is, you have 2 places to go. One is Google, one is Wikipedia. And you put that question in, and it takes you to all sorts of places. Some may even be videos where somebody has a projection thing and they're showing you all the data on it and stuff like that.
I'm sorry, Steve. The reason I'm saying that is a lot of the latest digital. I mean, I have a guy at work who's looking at buying, I forget which model Canon he's looking at, but it creates a 50 megabyte, excuse me,
file.
No, it's bigger than that. It's 50 gigabyte image. It's huge. Now, the camera's $4,000, no lens. Now, why he thinks he needs this, I don't know. But he says, you know, if my wife's gonna let me spend the money, I might as well spend the money. Well, there's some logic to that, I guess. Because the lens is gonna set him back another $1,000 on top of that. But in a lot of those cases, if you want to be able to shoot 3 frames a second or 5 frames a second or whatever, you have to have a card. You either have to have a hell of a lot of memory inside the camera by itself, or you have to have a card that's capable of accepting data at
That
a really,
fast.
really high speed.
Mhm.
Not all cards are the same. They might be the same as far as physical storage, but not as not as good as how fast you can write the data to the card. So that
So
could
it's
be the
the
limiting
right
factor. Pardon?
It's the right
It's the right
speed.
speed.
How,
Yes.
how fast it transfers the data.
So I'm saying, if you're
will
talking about
depend
just a
on the
thumb drive, you're just using it to transport from location A to location B. Shouldn't affect anything.
See, I mean, like, for instance, this is a 32 gig flash drive.
Is that a 3 or a 2?
Oh, it's two.
USB 3?
Mine doesn't have a,
Well, you can usually tell if you open up the ends of them,
They're
if
blue.
it's blue, that's a 3.
Yeah.
yeah.
If it's white or black, it's either a 2 or a 1. They didn't seem to
Yeah.
have their act together
The
then.
thing is that on this 32, I made 4 partitions. The upgrades to all the different operating systems are usually no more than 8 gigs. And so I put the installer disks for 6, 7, 8, and 9 on this, and I carry it around with me. So I don't care how fast it is. You know, it's just that it's the convenience.
It'll be faster than a CD ever was.
That's right. And the thing is, I'll get to your question.
Oh, I wanted to tell him something about the photos.
Bart?
Yeah, you know, you can upload to Costco online. You don't have to take it in.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you make an account. I've done this multiple times. People say, well, gee, I didn't have your business card. Well, I was without business cards for a little while because I designed this business card to be 3 up on a 4x6 photo print. And then when I get it home, I use one of those little cutting boards and I cut them down. So the thing is though, I sent this to them.
Which card is that going? Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. And picture of my Andy Warhol. I found that, I was lucky enough to buy it one time. But anyway, the thing is you set up an account and you follow the instructions and you upload the pictures you want. You can pick how they are, how the borders are, and all sorts of stuff. And that way, when you walk in 2 hours later, they're done. So, taking it there and then having to hang around, they just want you to buy more stuff. And so that's the reason that was invented. Now, last thing I'm gonna do before I turn it over to Greg, and he wants to split screen, and so do I. Robert told you that he talked to Apple. Apple took control of his computer. I'm warning you now, and many people have probably warned you before. If you get something that pops up on your screen and says you're doing something illegal, and we've detected a problem on your PC. They don't even know that you have a Mac. But here's an 800 number, call us, and we'll help you and get it all taken care of. But what they do is they take and you call in and talk to them for a while, and then they tell you their prices and stuff and what they can do for you, and then they take and have you download, what was the name of that?
Like
last
TeamViewer?
program? Pardon me?
TeamViewer?
No, not
Log me on?
TeamViewer. There was another program similar to what we do when Greg and I were doing transfers, like iChat, but it's a different company. And basically what they do is they take control of your computer. Now you're giving them access to steal your data, your passwords, stuff like that, and charge you for it besides. So whenever something comes up, take a screenshot, Command-Shift-3 for a whole screenshot, send it to Greg, Robert, or I, let us look at it, and we'll tell you whether or not to go ahead, because I've had, especially over at Laguna Woods Village, I've had people do that and they get trapped, and then getting that out of there is very difficult. So just be warned. Okay, Grego, your turn.
Damn, I hate to admit it, I haven't used this for a while. Stuart, how do I get the split screen? I can't remember how to do it.
Click on the green button and hold.
That's right.
Yeah. You just hold it, yeah.
Show you how often I use it so far.
Okay, you did what now?
You want this chair, I'm gonna leave. Oh, okay, sure.
So you hold
You're
it.
gonna leave, you're gonna miss the
Hold
best
it down
part.
for a second or two, yeah.
And
Then it'll do it, yeah.
Okay.
I couldn't,
Is this just on the
It's
view?
Okay,
not-
so basically, Greg, what you
the
did
green,
was you had two photos. You were in what? I can't see because it's off the top.
Hang on a second here. There we go.
Okay, so what app are you in? Photos. So you have two photos there.
All right, so
Okay, go ahead.
you click on you click where you normally, that would just take you to full screen or not full screen, right? You click on the green button on the apps that can do it, and you hold it down. And now you're in split screen.
Split screen, okay.
Can you do that with two different
Now,
applications?
Yes.
can you work on both of those screens?
Yes,
The thing is that
but it's only ones that are supporting that feature right now.
right. My wife tends to drive me nuts with, we gave her a nice iMac and everything, got her up to date. And what she does is she drags a window down like mail. And she'll leave it down behind her dock and stuff. And then when she says, go to this or that, and Mark, my son, goes looking around and it's like, where is it, where is it? Well, it's down at the bottom. And this program here, the OS will allow you to now make desktops. And
You've been able to do that for
Yeah.
a while, it's called Spaces.
Yeah, but the thing is, you create different desktops with an open app of a certain thing, Mail, Safari, whatever. And then there's a command to switch, and it's basically, if you had an iPad, MacBook Pro or Air, you can actually just swipe with your finger and go to the next.
So you can have multiple programs open at any of these desktops that you want to
Yeah.
use. There's even a way of renaming the desktops, I don't know what
Yeah.
value that is when you can see them up there, but.
Now,
So-
when you have that open, and say you have two documents that are with words and all, can you drag one from one to the
Yes.
other?
Yeah, it supports anything that Apple supported before.
Okay.
So if you were in a drag and drop environment before, you have that ability again still. You can still drag and drop. And you'll see that when you drag from one location to the other location, you'll see the little plus sign that'll show up there to let you know that, yes, whatever you're dragging is draggable.
Okay.
And I have to admit, I haven't used this enough to
Same
know
here.
it well, so.
same here.
Okay, I apologize, I've done something to my hand here, it's puffed up, I'm going to the doctor after I leave here. And it's been swollen for the last couple of days, so it's been a little challenge to work with. But in photos, we were talking a little bit about extensions. So I wanted to look around and see what was available for us to try out. I know we're all hoping that there'll be a Lightroom extension at some point in time, or a Adobe Photoshop extension at some point in time. It's my understanding from everything that I've read that it's a limitation on the developer side. It's not Apple side. The hooks are there. So like right now, extensions are available. As a matter of fact, there's a lot. If you go to, if you go to System Preferences, new in El Capitan is this extensions folder. And here you can see extensions that are available that can be added to Fantastical. Here in Finder, what can I do? Well, this is something with Creative Cloud that's turned on. Here in the share menu, if I never use Facebook, I can turn that off. If I never use LinkedIn for that purpose, or Twitter or Vimeo, I can disable those extensions. They're still available to add at a later time, but now whenever I go to something that's got a share sheet, a little pop-up like we see in iPhoto on iPad, iOS 9, that's new, pretty much so in Yosemite and El Capitan. I pop that open and I would get options to send directly to email or to send directly to like in Photos you can do that. If I go back into Photos here and I want to, where's the share sheet? Right here. there we go, there's the share sheet right there. So there's my options that are available to me right now, is I can send this photo directly as it is, to iCloud photo sharing, which is automatically there, to AirDrop somebody else in this room if I wanted to, that's all to AirDrop. I have a Flickr account I haven't used in years. If I want to send it to messages, want to send it to notes, if I click on more, that brings up that option as far as, say, it took me right to system preferences, and other things that I can add. Maybe I want that image to go into Facebook, and I do want to add it to Evernote and to add to Aperture if I wanted to. And I don't use these ones right here. Well, now if I go back over here to Photos and go back up to that Share menu, there's more options in there. Notice that? So that I can customize the services that I use. That's what the Share Sheet or Share Menu option is for. So that's inside of Photos itself. When I go into the Edit mode, down here in Extensions, that opens up that same extension over there with other options that are available. I've got a couple of demos that I had last month, but I wanted to see what actually they could do. So if you go to the websites for these, one of them is Mac Fun, what a great name, huh? And there's this Creative Kit. And this Creative Kit is a package. You can get these individually. I had a couple of them already. But they've done something on their website which is pretty cool. I can click on, say, Intensify, and so here's what their share sheet, or what their Intensify utility does. There's the original image, and as I play with their intensity option, that's what it can do to the original image. And they give you, on their website, they give you several that you can take a look at before and afters.
Wow.
So it's sort of like using, it's like an enhance option almost. It's like they've taken the best of both worlds from their app. And if you go over here and look at their tonality one, they've got something along the same, this one doesn't have those options, this one's
Well, you click them.
Pardon?
You just click them.
Yeah, these you just click, that's
Yeah.
right, to show some samples. So if you're going into black and white and you want to do something a little more dramatic with it, they've got some settings. Of course, you can justify, you can you can try out all those combinations you want to. This one really is impressive. I mean, to get rid of these people inside of Photoshop or Lightroom is a real pain. Well, here they've got some samples here where you can just go through and basically get rid of these people just like this.
Greg, we got an email, and I've never done anything with them, but I mean, I got one. They sent it to board at OACC.
Okay.
That
for us to give this a try out?
I think so, but it's that Fun, Mac Fun, and I just ignored it, but now that I see this, I'm gonna go back and check it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look seriously into it.
Mark would love this.
So I mean, look at this, getting rid of the junk that's out there, and you can do this in Photoshop, you can do this in Pixelmator, you can do this in a lot of things, but it's a hell of a lot more work. And they've really simplified this by using contrast and light variables for it. And the point I'm getting at is, this is just for funky looking crap. I don't know, this doesn't do me anything, although I just judged the Golden West International Photographic Salon last Saturday up in La Crescenta. Me and two other judges looked at 836 prints. That was a fun day. And in their creative section, it's supposed to be anything that doesn't look like that would normally happen in a normal environment. So there are times where you can't think of anything. You would rarely get something like this, but that definitely would be a non-normal, might qualify for a creative, yes.
Is that a free website?
No, the website is free to play with, and that was the point I was getting at, Tom, is you can download their trial, and I believe it gives you 30 days, I won't swear to it, and you get all 6 of these applications to try out.
Is that the name of the website?
Click on Get
Mac Fun.
Mac Fun.
MACPHUN.
Greg, click
Yes.
on the Get Trial and see what it says.
Well, I've already
Oh,
done
you
it.
gotta put your...
Yeah, but that's okay, I just won't do it.
No. That's one thing that drives me nuts with these different free websites. You gotta put your email address in first.
Well, I mean, they gotta track it, I can understand that,
Yeah.
so it's probably gonna say, hey, you already did this, you moron. Download started there.
How much is it?
If you bought the individual ones, let's go back up to the store. And I noticed that it got specials. I'm gonna have to hit them up and see if they've got, the Snap Heel is the one that gets rid of the objects that are out there. And I was playing with it on I pulled up a picture of my wife's niece's husband, And he's got a picture of their baby. I mean, my pictures are so out of date, it's unbelievable. This is like 4 years ago. He's got a picture of his son, and I'm just looking at some moles on his head. Well, I'll show you how well that worked. I was amazed that it worked as well as it did. So let's get out of this one. And where did I find it in?
Oh, that one down there, Greg, the girl with the baby has.
Right here?
No, a row up above where you are. There, up to the left. There you go.
Okay, that's my wife's niece, so let's see.
Okay, so that's got.
Oh, there we go, that'd be a good example. All right, whoops, didn't want that. So let's say as an example, I'm gonna go ahead and go into Snap-Heal. And I haven't used this program very much. So, and one of the things I haven't figured out is why they bother making you have to go back and redo that again. But let's say we want to get rid of that mole there. So I'm going to make that circle a little smaller. Too small. And is there anything else we want to get right? How about right there? Got a little mark there, and a little mark there, and let's click erase.
Oh, man.
That's pretty damn simple.
That is really good.
You can do the same thing in Photoshop.
You can.
One click.
That's right. It's a major improvement in Photoshop. But for those of us who don't have Photoshop, maybe a $30 program is a way to go for something like that.
Because Photoshop is still in the hundreds of dollars. So.
Yeah, it's still at least $200. Well, it's
$25.
$549 unless you buy the creative.
You can't buy it anymore.
You don't buy it.
You have to buy the subscription, right?
Buy
I think it's
And the cheapest you
$25
can
a
get
month.
away with is Photoshop and Lightroom for
$10
$10 a month.
Yeah.
Which is not a bad deal. In fact, I currently got the whole Creative Cloud for $30 a month, and I looked at my last year, I haven't used hardly any of them. So I'm probably gonna drop the $30 a month, which means I'll lose Dreamweaver, big deal, I'll never get around to using it. And I'll lose Illustrator and InDesign, I can always add them on back again later if I want to, but I'll still get Photoshop and Lightroom. I've never used Lightroom, Photoshop's the only one really that I've been using seriously. So I might as well save myself $240 a year, drop down to 120.
There's so much incredible new stuff in Photoshop.
Yeah, and literally you get an update like every other week or so.
You need to take a college course just to figure out how to use it.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? There's
Lynda.com.
Lynda.com.
Has
You
a
can get
fabulous library.
if you use /twit, I believe it is, or MacBreak Weekly, either one of those, as an option, you can get 10 free days of Lynda, LYNDA.com training on anything.
You go right to Linda's website, they give it to you.
Yeah, but I think they give you a little bit better deal.
I think it's a week or a month.
It's
or
either
something.
no, I believe it's 10 days.
I tried it before I started.
And I'm definitely going to do that. I just got to commit, like everything else. I just got to commit to time and do it. So, but I mean, there's an example of, and then when I'm done, I literally just save changes, and I'm still back inside of Photos. Now the program can be used. Oops, I want it out of that.
How do you spell that again?
MacPhun, MACPHUN.
And it's Snap-Heal.
That particular program is called Snap-Heal, yeah.
So by itself is $49, but if you look and raise it up there, you can get all of those for $149.
What was
They've
that
got a
again?
lot of different options.
Fun? How do you spell that? Fun again?
PHUN.
MAPHUN.
MACP.
And I'm gonna, they've got it, what's the education?
the top
Show
left
it in
corner.
here for education prices, no. So, I don't know, I'm gonna write these people and see if they've got maybe a club deal, maybe we can get some kind of a deal for clubs. 10% off or something like that. Now that's one of them. Another one that's offering a free trial right now, and by the way, that bits and pieces of this MacPhun right now will plug into Photos, not all of it yet. But it's a standalone app as well. So the convenience is if you're if you're just going through your photos, you just got them back, and you want to make something that's quick and dirty, and maybe you didn't want to fool with Photoshop, but geez, you got that damn cold sore on his lip right there. Maybe that's all you need to be able to fix that problem. So that's something to be thinking about. So over here from Affinity, which also has it, I bailed out of that, they also have an option on the backup store. That's not what I wanted to go to. Affinity's also got to download a free trial. They do a lot of similar things. So it might be a thought. I don't think I'd download them all at one shot. If one gives you like 10 days to play with it, I think I'd download that one, play seriously with it for 10 days, then download the next one to try for 10 days. Otherwise, you'll find yourself overwhelmed with too many trials. They're all going to crap out about the same time.
Yeah.
Until you figure out, now their whole package is $49.99. And it's the same deal. They want a first name and a last name, because of course you've got to be on their mailing list until you kill that. And the third one that I wanted to talk about was Pixelmator. And Pixelmator's just made, I think Pixelmator's got some freebies out there.
That
And
one was
I
called
played, we talked
Affinity.
about this a little bit in the past.
Greg, that one was called Affinity?
Affinity.
You have to be sure that they will work as extensions. I mean,
Say that again, yeah, you definitely want, and not all of Pixelmator's working as an extension yet.
But they'll
It
tell
will,
you.
it will. Because I noticed right now inside
it's
of Photos,
the distort will work.
you get Distort and you get one other option, and yeah, just Distort right now, which is kind of interesting. I mean, let's go over here to, yeah, let's go to Warp and let's make that a little smaller, just a little smaller.
Is there a price for pixel?
Boy, would she appreciate that, wouldn't she?
Is there a price for pixel?
This one's really fun though to play with, this swirl one here.
Halloween was last week.
Yeah.
You got one going forward, one going back. There's a lot of interesting things you can do to people you don't care about. So.
Oh, wait. Have you tried the in Snaphill the clone tool?
No, I haven't.
So
I haven't tried.
cool.
To be honest with you, I haven't played much with these.
Can you add to the photo?
There's an option, click on what you want to clone.
Like insert,
Okay, and now,
image?
without option, just start moving your mouse around and it'll, within the window, yeah.
3 eyes.
A third eye.
You're looking at it.
Who needs 3 eyes?
But you can clone the baby's face and have a whole bunch of kids.
So that's how they do it in the movies, huh?
Yeah, that's right. That's basically where all this stuff comes from is the professional industry or whatever, and it's trickled down to us. So I'm going to play with this stuff a little bit more here between now and then, but I wanted to give you some ones that you can download some trials, and if you've come up with something that you've done that's kind of interesting, give us a before and after, put it on a thumb drive or email it to one of us and we'll show it next month. So, yes sir.
So Pixelmator is not ready for El Capitan yet?
It is, but they've only got one piece of it as an extension, and that's just the stored option. They say the whole thing's going to be available, and anybody who's got it's going to get it. So right now, the only piece of Pixelmator that's available as an extension from within Photos is the distort option. But Pixelmator itself, the program works fine under El Capitan. You just don't get all the options right now. And I have a feeling that's going to happen to a lot of them. That'll come out. So Pixelmator is what, $29.95. You can't beat it.
Right, I went to
You
download
can't get
it
a
the
bitter,
other-
a cheaper.
I went to download it the other day and wasn't sure it all was even compatible with the
Yeah, I've got it on here.
10.11 or
Mouse around.
whatever I got.
Lots of fun. Lots of fun.
It's a solution without a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to use this as my desktop, but I couldn't find a better quality image of it. I thought that would be perfect for El Capitan, was William Shatner climbing up the side of El Capitan there. It's a little too low res for my taste, though, but you can do a
But
lot of
see, you
things.
could use that one that changes the intensity and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
that would be
looks
really
pretty
useful.
dark.
That would be very different, yeah. And I thought about that. The one that I'm using as a desktop right now.
Nope, click the yellow button.
So the one that I'm using right now, I thought I might take that, put it in Intensify, and maybe make it look like different times throughout the day, and put that into a slideshow that would play as my background. Because at least it's something different.
Yeah, very cool.
You know, I wanted something other than the stock standard El Capitan shots they gave us are kind of crappy. I personally like this one over here.
The thing is
And you see the Merced here in the foreground. The one I really want, boy, I love this. I have the movie Maverick. And there's a scene in the movie Maverick where he's with the Indians, and they're down here in Yosemite Valley, and there's Indians going by in a canoe, and you see El Capitan, what they must have had to play to be able to get the privilege of being able to do that inside Yosemite. And unfortunately, Macs don't allow, I'm gonna have to probably take a physical picture of it, but you can't steal an image from a movie.
Right.
And every third-party utility I've tried to do that, there's no way to do a screen snapshot of an image. It was something they worked out years ago with the Motion Picture Association.
It's all DRM.
Where they did, because of the DRM, where they disabled that. So I think what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to just get it to a still frame in the image and literally take a picture of it with my phone or something else like that.
You can't do a screenshot?
No, it comes
Not
out
with any
great.
of the third-party utilities I've tried either, including Snap-Z Pro, which I've been using for years.
It won't even work with their Command Shift.
No, nothing.
Nothing.
It's totally disabled. But I thought, wouldn't that be cool to have that as an image on here, would be that scene from the movie Maverick. It's early morning, it's beautiful, you see teepees out here in the meadow, you see Indians going by in the canoe. How cool, what a cool, totally different, nobody else would have it.
Well, now the thing is unfortunately, I've been to Hawaii, I've been to New York, and all these things. I've never been to Yosemite.
Oh,
And that-
shame
Oh
on
man,
you.
I've been there like 15 times.
I know, that is so beautiful. How many mountains like these have they named? You know, like.
Oh, everything in that park's named.
All of them.
Three Sisters, Bridal Veil, Yosemite Falls,
Apple's got-
everything's named in that.
Apple's got a whole run of them.
Yep, everything's named in there, so.
Wow.
You know, you can get the image you probably want in Google Image.
Yeah, that's where I got this from. I just typed in Yosemite and just started scrolling through them and picked a whole bunch of different ones.
Oh, God, yes, that's
So, I
another
mean,
feature.
I've only got a few that I kept because I wanted to keep the ones that were.
Google has, you
were
can
worth it,
select, when you go to Google,
Yeah.
and you can select image, and then you put in your.
So here's another one, but I happen to like the one with the tree overhanging up here. I like this up here because it kills some of the dead sky that you got. Which of course, by the time you change, depends on the screen resolution that you're gonna use that and all that kind of stuff too.
Right.
Yes, sir.
On iPhone, the new upgraded iOS 9.1, what all does that do? That upgrade?
Well, first off, the upgrade's definitely worth it. I hate to admit I don't have my iPhone with me, although I have my iPad.
Let's see.
But
I downloaded it and I'm not sure what all it does.
Okay.
Okay, let's see here.
You know, your best bet, as far as I'm concerned, is to go to, especially if you want to learn, is to go to imore.com.
What? I know.
Yeah, don't you love these names these people come up with? And there's two people in this group. And Leo Laporte, most of you probably know who he is. He does the tech show on Saturdays and Sundays, KFI. Well, on Tuesdays, he does Mac Break Weekly. It is about a 2-hour podcast, which you can either watch it live on their Twit network, or you can go to, we can't see it live on YouTube. You can go to Ustream and see it live. But on Wednesday, it's published through iTunes podcast, video, really low-res video, normal video, or high-res video, and audio. I watch that every Wednesday at work in between whenever I'm doing something that's going to take a while here on the screen. I got nothing else going. I got it down here on my iPhone playing. And so they do that show every week. And the people that he has that are regulars on that show, either in-house, because it's coming from Petaluma, or by, they call it Skypeosaurus, is Andy Anato, who's been in the industry forever today. He's in Boston. Is Renee Ritchie from Montreal, Canada. He's with iMore, who I'm going to talk about here in just a moment. Once in a blue moon, they have Serenity Caldwell. She's in Boston. She's also with the iMore group. And in-house, he'll get, for you people who are fans of anything doing with movies, he'll get, now his name's going to escape me now. Oh, this is going to bother me a lot now. I can't think of his name. But he lived here. He moved back to Pittsburgh. He's overseas a lot. He's been involved in Final Cut Pro design and stuff, along with Steve Martin, a few other people. Not the Steve Martin comedian, but Steve Martin of the movie industry. Oh, that's killing me. I can't think of his name right now. He's a regular on the show also. So they got him in house, and you can actually write and go sit in the studio if you want to or whatever.
About
And they change it up a little bit. You know what I'm talking about?
The Ripple training.
Yeah. Not Steve Martin now.
Yeah, I'll look him up.
But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Short guy, gray hair, not narrowed down to all of us anymore. But but he's in Africa an awful lot. But these guys will talk about whatever's been going on with Apple for the previous week, which is really interesting, and then they'll have their picks of the day at the end of the show, which is kind of interesting sometimes too. But anyway, what I started to talk about is Renee Ritchie and Serenity Caldwell. These people have taken it. Now here we are. So you want to learn anything you want to learn about El Capitan? They've got extensive videos on El Capitan, and they're all free to watch.
Mark Spencer.
Nope, not him,
No?
sorry. And here you are, iOS 9. Here's extensive videos on what it can and can't do. I would definitely recommend that. And plus, I am so impressed by their work that I actually bought a few of their electronic publications. And here's iOS 9 and Watchpoint 2. And they made these available for $5. And
9.1 now.
And so, yeah, there'll be an update. I just haven't bothered to get it yet. So the nice thing is, all the iBooks work on my iPad, my iPhone, and the Mac. And so if I'm stuck on something, I can go back here and be working on one of these while I'm watching it on the screen. That's $5. That's a cheap investment. You used to have to pay $20 for the operating system. I'll pay the $20 and learning how to use it a little bit better. So I definitely recommend checking out iMore. And like I said, they've got books and things that they talk about all the time, which is kind of nice. And they do some really great stuff. The other people who I really like from a book standpoint is Adam and Tanya Angst from tidbits.com. And Tidbits puts out some incredible stuff, and their books are usually $10 or something like that. But lately I've been using their stuff more because Serenity or Ren as they call, and Renee make it real concise and have a damn picture for almost everything for us morons that don't like to read. We can at least go through there and see a picture that represents what we're looking for. So I think they're well worth taking a look at. Yes, sir?
Here's the thing. Like I've been beating on your heads, and I hate to say it, iOS 9 in 9.1 in Google gives you all sorts of links to find out what it does, to find out what failures people have been having with it, all there. So then you can just go right down the line and read whatever you want to find out. You say, oh, well, it says here, Apple iOS 9.1 update causes Touch ID problems.
Well, it does. Touch ID not so much, but one of the new features that came out with iOS 9 and one of the new 6S's or 6S Plus is what's affectionately called 3D Touch, which gives you the ability, they use the term peek and poke. Okay, so as an example, you're looking at a mail header. Well, now instead of tapping that to actually open it, you can put your finger on one of the new phones and iOS 9. You can put your finger on there, and that opens up the mail without actually opening it. You're peeking into the mail.
Yeah.
And then if you poke it all the way, it brings it up. So it's a really nice enhancement that more and more developers are adding to the S series of new phones.
I was sending my son, as Greg was going through these really neat apps, I sent it to my son, and without actually going into the actual message, I can just push a little harder and it will come up with the message. So I don't have to go here and then be able to scroll or anything like that. I don't have to do that. All I gotta do is go there, and now it shows what I had said.
One of the new features that they added in iOS 9, and to really get it to work, it only works on the S series, the 6 Series S phones, is when you take a photo, if you've got this feature turned on, which it is by default, when you take the actual picture, it's actually recorded a second and a half, we can call it video, a second and a half of images prior to the picture taking, and a second and a half images after the picture taking. Now the actual picture is there, but if you put your finger on the picture, it shows you that little bit of animation prior to the picture being taken, so you get 3 seconds of video. Now it's not really video, although it's handled as video, sort of. But it's a characteristic that's been in all these phones, all this capability, is that the camera's always gonna take a point, and to speed things up, when you hit the button, it just happens to use that image. So they've added that feature in iOS 9. Now, one of the things they learned is people forget that they're doing that. So I take a picture right here without even thinking, but I take the phone and I put it back inside my pocket. So the remaining second and a half is a blur of this image going into my pocket. I don't have to keep these, I can throw them away. They're roughly about double in size, but you can throw that and just keep the picture.
See, now here's a little something that I have.
You got one that's got that on there?
No, I've got a picture of my dog and I, and I go like that.
Cute dog.
And, oh, he's very cute. And so what happened, oh, you mean the dog with the blue shirt? But what happens is, I can take and go back to, there we go. Go back to that and press harder, and there's a little,
little bit of animation sort of.
No. It's got, or I did have a second ago, where it gave me an up arrow, and it brings up a menu down below. Come on. There you go. Copy, share, favorite.
That's the share sheet.
Okay.
Right. So I mean, it's got a hidden, whenever you see
That
a
was
white
added in iOS 9.
arrow, that's another feature. I mean, this thing is.
But because the people who have
Do
6S,
everything
the
except
people who
wash
have
the
6S phones and
Except like a
6S, and 6S Plus phones were bitching about the fact that they forget that they're shooting video theoretically for a second and a half after they get done taking the picture. So that means they go back later and they throw it away, big deal. So Apple decided in their infinite wisdom, and I think this was a great idea in 9.1, to use the accelerator in the phone, and if it recognizes that you're moving the phone while it's still shooting, it'll stop shooting right then.
That's what they're.
Not perfect, but it's better. So, and they'll get that cleared up a little bit better. So I mean, that was an improvement on 9 versus 9.1. And let's face it, whenever there's a point release, it's fixing a bug out there. Excuse me, an enhancement they missed. It's fixing a bug out there somewhere probably also.
Yeah.
So that was one of the enhancements that they did, was to detect, wait a minute, we got this tool in here that they detect that you got movement. Why don't we just shut the video off at that point?
Here's something else. We keep coming up with these things. They seem kind of disorganized, but we're getting them as we are talking. One thing I had yesterday, a lady called me and I was dressed to be a Maytag repairman. And I says, look, I'm coming the way I am just to help you out. She was so upset because her paper had jammed in the printer. And so I get there and there are paper shreds inside that looks like somebody had taken the thing out to pull it out. Okay, whenever you have something like that, before you call me or anybody else, pull out the back. But the main thing is, go to Google. Stuck page in Epson model blah blah blah, and it'll take you to there. It'll give you the step-by-step thing. Whatever's up, whatever you have, somebody's already put it on.
Yeah, you're not the first.
Yeah, and so it was basically, I showed her that I'll send her the link to the deal. No, it's too much. She was so I fixed it for her. But I mean, it was basically, there's a little thing in the back where the paper goes through, and you just squeeze it, or pull up actually, and there was two little clips holding this part in, which feeds the paper around like that, and you can get to the back of the sheet that hasn't been touched, pull that straight out, and voila, and then you take canned air and blow out the chips and stuff. And it was a piece of cake. But you can do that yourself, by just looking up stuck page or jammed page in a certain printer.
So look here, we're on iMore, and I just looked up what's the difference in 9 versus 9.1 iOS. And they gotta pay for this site somehow, so you're gonna see some of this ad crap or whatever. But you can see right there, live photos, that's what they call that new photo feature. Live photos now intelligently senses when you raise or lower your iPhone, so that live photos will automatically not record these movements. Not perfect, but it's better than what it was. Improved stability with CarPlay, music, photo, Safari, and search. probably none of us will ever notice that. Improve performance in multitasking user interface. Who knows? Fix an issue that could cause calendar to become unresponsive in the month view. Could cause calendar. Fix an issue that prevented Game Center. I don't use Game Center, so I never noticed. Resolves an issue that zoomed the content of some applications. Never run across that. And this might have been unique to just the S-series phones and 9.0. But anyway, that's basically what it is. But if you go back a page, and here we are talking about iOS 9, here's their breakdown. What do you need to know? What's the difference between iOS 9 and previous? What's changed for your phone, iPad, or iPod? This is all available and it's all free. And these people, I think, do the best job there is. And like I said, if you really like it, I wanted the ability to have it with me all the time on the iPad or the iPhone. So I decided for $5 I'll buy their book. And, you know, keep them in business a little longer or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And their books are excellent. They really do. Not uncommon for them to have a 100-page book with a lot of images in it.
And don't
Is that
forget
$5 a
that,
month or just?
One shot. iBooks are one-shot price. So
Um,
it's $4.95, but all the upgrades are free.
Yeah.
don't forget, if you missed something and didn't write it down, Stuart's been gracious enough to take the show, take the presentation, and put it up on a web access in YouTube, and you can go watch the thing again in case you missed something. So that's at the top of our webpage. Upper right corner, meeting videos.
How long have you been doing this?
He's been doing this over a
About
year.
almost a year, haven't it, or longer?
About a year.
Yeah.
So here's last month's.
No, I need to get back to you on that. Was that last month?
That's 9/5.
Yeah, I don't think you were here in October, were you?
Yeah, I was, but there were some things I took out, and
Oh,
ones
okay.
are okay. So, but basically, these are the
Had to
others.
take all the swearing I did out, you know.
Yeah. All those bad words you use.
But anyway, yeah, the videos are all there and downloadable, and this one will be up today.
Yeah.
Pretty cool, thank you, Stuart.
That's really,
Thank you, Stuart.
I think, yeah.
Like, I won't be here next month, so hopefully Stuart will be here recording it so I can watch and see what happens. So.
Well, I don't know, maybe everybody needs a break.
That's your call, Steve, so that we can blame you. All right, everybody, thank you very much.
Okie dokie, guys. It's that time.